Let me tell you about the worst, and then the best, day of my life. One minute I'm getting stomped to death by my own neighbors like a human doormat. Fists, feet, even sticks. These people went full medieval on me. And the cherry on top? The girl I had a crush on, Fong Yuqing, was standing in the back yelling. I tricked him into opening the door, so give me extra supplies. Real classy lady. Real classy. My last thought before everything went dark was basically, I'm the biggest idiot on this frozen planet. Then boom. My eyes fly open and I'm sitting on my own couch, sweating like a roasted pig, gasping for air like I just ran a marathon underwater. Heart pounding, body shaking, the whole dramatic package. Turns out, I'm back. 1 whole month before the apocalypse. November 12th. The ice apocalypse doesn't drop until December. Some supernova 50 million light years away decided to sneeze on Earth and freeze everything to negative 70 degrees. Snow buried entire cities. 95% of humanity got wiped out. Fun times. But none of that has happened yet. I'm standing in my nice, warm, 120 square meter apartment with actual running water and electricity like some kind of king. I grabbed a bottle of cold water from the fridge and chugged it like a man who just crawled out of a desert. Except my desert was made of ice. During the apocalypse, getting water meant going outside in killer cold to dig up snow and melt it. People literally froze to death doing that. This refrigerator water tasted like liquid gold. My brain immediately switched to survival planning mode. I've got about 2 million yuan in savings. Sounds decent, right? Wrong. When the world ends, money becomes fancy toilet paper. I need supplies, mountains of them, food, gear, entertainment, weapons. A man cannot survive the end of the world on rice and sadness alone. Then something wild happened. A little white light popped up in front of my eye. I rubbed it, thinking my eyeball was glitching. But no, this thing was part of me now. My brain just knew it. I focused on it, and my consciousness got sucked inside. I found myself standing in the middle of an absolutely massive empty white space. Like someone copy-pasted nothing a billion times. It was a pocket dimension. A personal storage universe. Apparently getting blasted by gamma rays during my first life gave me superpowers, and my superpower is being a walking warehouse. I'll take it. I started testing it immediately. Teacup? In. Wash basin? In. TV, fridge, washing machine, computer, air conditioner, vacuum cleaner? In. This space was eating everything I threw at it like a hungry black hole with zero table manners. And I could pull stuff back out just by thinking about it. The only rule was I couldn't rip things apart, like trying to peel up a floor tile didn't work. The space has standards, apparently. That's when the genius plan hit me. My job? I'm a supervisor at the Walmart South China Regional Warehouse. This isn't some cute little stockroom. This monster is 1,500 meters long, 720 meters wide, over 1 million square meters of pure consumer paradise. The Walmart CEO once called it the 8th wonder of the world. It holds enough supplies to feed millions of people for a week. If I cleaned that place out and dumped everything into my pocket dimension, I wouldn't just survive the apocalypse. I'd be living like a 5-star resort guest for 10 lifetimes. And Walmart has quality control, so we're talking brand name everything. No knockoff instant noodles for this guy. I know every shelf, every security camera, every staff schedule in that building. Emptying it would be a piece of cake. My stomach growled and snapped me out of my evil genius moment. I looked at the takeout on my table, some sad little braised chicken rice, and laughed. 1 month until the world freezes over. I've got 2 million yuan that's about to become worthless. And I'm sitting here debating whether to eat cheap takeout? Absolutely not. That money is getting spent on the fanciest meals this city has to offer. Every single day. I tossed the takeout aside, grabbed my jacket, and headed out to find the most expensive restaurant I'd never had the guts to walk into before. The apocalypse can wait, dinner cannot. I stepped outside my apartment, and the world looked absolutely adorable. Parents playing with their kids, everyone smiling, birds probably singing somewhere, the whole Disney movie package. Too bad I knew that in 30 days, all of this was going to turn into a frozen nightmare. Enjoy it while it lasts, people. My feet carried me straight to a Michelin 3-star restaurant near my neighborhood. This place used to intimidate my wallet so badly that I'd speed walk past it with my eyes on the ground. Not today. Today, I'm a dead man walking. Well, a formerly dead man walking, and I deserve a feast. I grabbed a window seat like some main character in a movie, opened the menu, and ordered every single expensive dish on it. Then I threw in a bottle of Chateau Lafite wine just because I could. 50,000 yuan, gone in one order. The waiters started looking at me like I was some secret billionaire's son. Little did they know, I'm just a warehouse supervisor who knows money is about to become wallpaper. When that glorious spread arrived at my table, I attacked it like a wild animal. Tears were practically forming in my eyes. After surviving a frozen apocalypse where people would literally kneel and beg for a pack of instant noodles, eating Michelin-star food felt like a religious experience. My table manners went completely out the window. Other diners were staring and whispering, but honestly, couldn't care less. In a month, those same polite people would sell their own shoes for a can of beans. Now here's where things got spicy, and I don't mean the food. Outside the window, two women stopped and started peeking in. One of them was Fong Yuqing. Yes, that Fong Yuqing. The woman who sweet-talked me into opening my door in the apocalypse so my neighbors could beat me to death. The woman who then demanded extra supplies as her reward. My personal angel of death, currently strutting around in Gucci heels with an LV bag on her arm. Her bestie Lin Canning was right beside her, and together they spotted me through the glass like two hungry cats spotting a fish in a bowl. I could practically see the calculator turning on behind their eyes. Wait, Zhang Yi can afford this place. Apparently, they immediately decided I must be a secret rich kid pretending to be normal to find true love. Like some drama on TV. These two really wrote an entire fanfiction about my hidden fortune right there on the sidewalk. Lin Canning wanted to barge in immediately, mostly because she was eyeballing my food, but Fong Yuqing played it cool. She insisted they wait outside and, accidentally, bump into me. Classic move. Can't look desperate in front of the backup boyfriend, after all. Oh yeah, I should mention, I'd been chasing this woman for 2.5 years before the apocalypse. Her strategy with me was textbook gold digger. Don't accept, don't reject, don't take responsibility. Keep the simp on a leash just in case. She always thought she deserved some ultra-rich Prince Charming, but she kept me around as plan B. What a sweetheart. I spent over an hour demolishing that meal, rubbed my gloriously round belly, and walked out the door. My plan was to hit a nearby supermarket to test my pocket dimension storage. Gotta make sure that thing works properly before I attempt the big Walmart heist. The second I stepped outside, Zhang Yi, what a coincidence, there she was. Fong Yuqing, doing that thing where she tucks her hair behind her ear and tilts her neck just so, flashing her skin like she's posing for a shampoo commercial. Peak green tea girl energy. Peak White Lotus performance. Every move calculated to make a man's brain short-circuit. Old me would have melted into a puddle. New me? New me remembered that this woman got me killed, and, oh right, she even wanted to boil my ribs for soup. Soup. Made from my ribs. That memory hit different. My eyes went ice cold. For about 3 seconds, I seriously considered ending her right there. She actually shivered and stammered, Zhang Yi. Are you? Okay, I pulled myself together. Nothing. Thought you were someone else. Killing her now would be stupid. Too easy, too quick, and I'd probably end up in jail when the apocalypse hits. That would be the dumbest possible outcome, surviving the end of the world from behind bars. No thank you. Besides, a quick death would be way too generous for her. Much better to let her experience the full horror of the frozen apocalypse first, then deal with her on my own terms. I've got a whole month of memories from the future, and with that kind of advantage, I could think of 100 ways to make her regret ever knowing my name. But revenge is a dish best served frozen, literally, in this case. Right now, my priority is building the ultimate survival fortress and making sure I'm living my best post-apocalyptic life. My attitude toward Fong Yuqing was colder than the apocalypse that's coming next month. Ice cold. Arctic. Absolute zero. But did that scare her off? Oh no, no. Quite the opposite, actually. See, these two geniuses had already decided I was a secret billionaire playing dress-up as a regular guy. And in their world, a rich man being rude isn't rude, it's charisma. It's having an attitude. Apparently, the ruder I got, the richer I seemed. Fascinating logic. Oh, Zhang Yi, were you eating at that restaurant? Lin Canning asked, pretending she hadn't been pressing her face against the glass like a kid at an aquarium 20 minutes ago. I gave her one syllable. Yep, hands in pockets. Turned around. Started walking to the supermarket. Did they leave? Of course not. They latched onto me like two seagulls chasing a French fry. Where are you going? Fong Yuqing asked with her sweetest, most angelic smile. Supermarket. What a coincidence. We were just heading there too. Yeah. Sure. Incredible coincidence. The universe truly works in mysterious ways. Fong Yuqing glued herself to my side and kept doing this thing where she'd, accidentally, brush her hand against mine, then look away all shy and blushing when I noticed. Oscar-worthy performance. If they gave Academy Awards for being a fake, this woman would have a shelf full of golden statues. Standing ovation from the judges. Lifetime achievement in professional flirting. I walked into the supermarket, grabbed a cart, and headed straight for the food section. These two scrambled to grab their own carts and followed me like ducklings. Were you eating with someone at the restaurant? Fong Yuqing asked, fishing for information. By myself, her eyes practically turned into dollar signs. A man who drops 50,000 on a solo lunch? In gold digger mathematics, that equals jackpot. Lynn Canning, bless her complete lack of subtlety, just went for it. Your monthly salary is like 10,000, right? That meal was 6 months of pay. Your family must have left you a lot of money. Fong Yuqing shot her a death glare that could have melted steel. Rule number 1 of the Professional Gold Digger Handbook. Talk about feelings with rich guys, talk about money with poor guys. Never mix them up. Lynn Canning just committed a rookie violation. Haha, just kidding. Money doesn't matter between friends. Lynn Canning backpedaled so fast, she nearly tripped over her own tongue. I ignored them both completely and started loading up my cart like a man possessed. Instant noodles, canned meat, ham sausages, self-heating hot pots, seasonings, everything went in. Just sweeping entire shelves into the cart with my arm. In my previous life, I once stretched a single pack of ramen across 2 days. Never. Again. Their jaws hit the floor. Zhang-yi, why are you buying so much food? Are you going camping? Yep, I lied, because explaining the world ends in 30 days tends to make people call a psychiatrist. Lynn Canning leaned over to Fong Yuqing and whispered, do rich kids eat instant noodles on camping trips? Even the gold digger radar was getting confused signals. Then Fong Yuqing bounced over with her cutest smile. Need any help? Now here is where my evil genius kicked in. Free labor just volunteered itself. And while watching this scheming woman push my groceries around, a beautiful revenge plan started forming in my head. What if I deliberately let her know I was stockpiling supplies? So that when the apocalypse hits, she'd come crawling and begging? Then I could slam the door right in her perfect little face. Poetic justice, served frozen. As for her blabbing to my terrible neighbors and them trying to attack me again, easy fix. I just needed to build a fortress so tough that those losers couldn't get in. The image of them banging on my reinforced door while I sat inside eating steak made me smile so hard it probably looked psychotic. Sure, push the cart for me, I said. She nodded eagerly. I sent Lynn Canning to grab another cart too. 3 carts. I filled all 3. Noodles, sausages, canned goods, cured meats in cart 1 and 2. Cart 3 got the premium treatment. Fresh beef, lamb, fruits, vegetables, and even some live fish. Those were for testing whether my pocket dimension could preserve fresh food. Science experiment meets doomsday prepping. The 2 heaviest carts, packed with probably 500 pounds of meat and cans, went straight to my 2 volunteers. They were sweating, panting, and struggling like they were training for the Olympics. Fong Yuqing pouted and whined. This is so much food. How many people are you feeding? Are you throwing a party you didn't tell me about? I smirked and told her the honest truth. You never know when the world might end. Better to stock up. Nobody believes you when you tell them the actual apocalypse is coming. A certain doctor with the last name Lee proved that once. She laughed like I'd told a hilarious joke. If you don't want to tell me, just say so. Don't be silly. Then came the hook. But since I helped you so much today, you have to treat me to dinner later, okay? The look in her eyes was screaming. Michelin 3 stars, please. I gave her my best casual smile. Sure. I'm pretty busy right now, though. How about next month? Next month. When the sky is falling and the temperature is -70. Dinner reservation denied. Deal, she said, absolutely thrilled. Lynn Canning jumped in immediately. Me too, me too. Fong Yuqing glared at her again, but Lynn Canning had already activated her. I didn't see that superpower. I paid for everything at the register, over 10,000 yuan, without blinking. In apocalypse currency, this stuff would be worth millions. People would literally fight to the death over a single can of spam. Best investment I ever made. The supermarket lent me the carts since I bought so much, and I put my 2 free interns to work pushing all 3 carts back to my apartment complex. They complained the whole way, but the second I reminded them about the future dinner, they suddenly found the strength of Olympic weightlifters. 3 overloaded shopping carts. 2 sweaty gold diggers doing manual labor. 1 extremely satisfied doomsday prepper walking behind them with his hands in his pockets. Best shopping trip of my life. 3 shopping carts full of supplies rolling through the neighborhood. Yeah, that turned some heads. Every nosy neighbor within a half-mile radius suddenly developed Superman-level vision. People were whispering, pointing, probably already drafting group chat messages about me. Did I care? Not even a little bit. My whole revenge plan actually required these people to know I had stuff. Picture this. The apocalypse hits. They're freezing and starving. They remember Zhang Yi has food. They come banging on my door. And my door is made of military-grade steel. Chef's kiss. The look on their faces would be worth more than everything in those carts. Of course, this plan only works if I can turn my apartment into an unbreakable fortress. Plan B is running off to the middle of nowhere and building an underground bunker. But Plan A is so much more satisfying. Right on cue, trouble arrived in the form of Grandma Lin, the self-appointed queen of our apartment complex. This woman works at the building committee and acts like she's the president of a small country. Her entire personality is, give me free stuff. She came waddling over with her grandson, Little Tiger, eyes already locked onto my groceries like a heat-seeking missile. Oh, little Zhang, that's so much stuff. Must be from your warehouse, right? Why don't you share some with your neighbors? Share. Share. This woman wanted me to share. In my previous life, I actually helped her. And when the mob came to beat me to death, Grandma Lin wasn't just watching from the sidelines. She was more energetic than the young guys doing the stomping. Grandma got cardio that day. Before I could even respond, her little demon grandson had already climbed onto one of my carts and grabbed a box of imported chocolates worth over 200 yuan. This kid had the eyes of a professional thief, went straight for the expensive stuff. I snatched it right out of his grubby little hands. These are mine. Go buy your own. Grandma Lin's face went through 17 shades of angry. Little Tiger threw himself on the ground and started the full tantrum package, screaming, crying, rolling around like a possessed burrito. You're a grown man picking on a child, Grandma Lin shrieked. It's just 1 box of chocolate. Just give it to him. I'll pay you back later. Pay me back later. In a world with instant mobile payment, she could literally scan a QR code right now. Later means never in Grandma Lin language. I've cracked the code, lady. I said no. Want chocolate? The supermarket is that way. I grabbed my crew and walked off. Behind me, Grandma Lin was screaming insults loud enough to register on earthquake sensors. Didn't hear a word. My ears have a built-in filter now, blocks out all sounds from people who are going to be dead within 2 weeks of the apocalypse. Her son and daughter-in-law work in another city. She barely buys groceries for 1 day at a time. Once the freeze hits, she and Little Tiger are running out of food faster than anyone. Without my help this time around, 10 days would be a miracle for them. Harsh. Maybe. But I already died once being nice. That position has been permanently filled and the office is closed. Back at my apartment, Feng Yuqing gave me one last flirty wink. Don't forget about that dinner. My stomach did a backflip. From nausea, I mumbled something non-committal and shooed both women out before they could start snooping around for evidence of my secret fortune. Door closed. Finally alone. I opened my pocket dimension and tossed everything inside. Time to see how this magic storage space handles overnight preservation. That night, I sat down with a pen and paper and became the world's most intense planner. 3 hours of pure apocalypse preparation strategy. Food. Easy. Daily shopping plus the big Walmart warehouse heist. But the warehouse job needs to happen just days before the apocalypse to avoid getting caught and spending doomsday in prison. Check. Heating. Electricity dies fast after the freeze. Solution. Install a fireplace, old school European style. Also need to renovate the whole apartment with insulation layers. Check. Security. Turn my apartment into an impenetrable steel fortress. Thick steel plates, alloy reinforcement, blast-resistant everything. There are security companies in the city that build this kind of thing for rich people. Some billionaire overseas once built a bunker that could survive a small nuclear weapon. That's the energy I need. Check. Medicine. Walmart warehouse has basic stuff for colds and fevers, but I need serious supplies. The ice age could last decades. Lucky for me, I know some people who work in hospital warehouses. With enough money, I can get anything. Check. Weapons. Machetes, crowbars, axes, easy to find. Crossbows and compound bows, I've got connections. But what I really want is, well, let's just say American-style home defense equipment. That requires black market connections. Going abroad to buy isn't practical, no time, no foreign permits. This one needs more thinking. Half check. 3 hours later, I took a glorious hot shower, another luxury that's about to become extinct, and passed out in my warm, comfortable bed. The night was rough. Nightmares kept dragging me back to the frozen hellscape. Every time I jolted awake and felt my warm blanket, the relief was like winning the lottery all over again. Morning came. Made breakfast. Then the moment of truth, checking the pocket dimension. The meat looked perfect, but the real test was the fruits and vegetables. Normally, they'd start wilting overnight. I pulled them out and, fresh, like I just picked them up from the store 5 minutes ago. Not a single leaf drooped. Not one berry softened. Time inside my pocket dimension was either moving incredibly slowly or completely frozen. This was massive news. I could store literally anything without it ever going bad. The fish, though dead, still perfectly preserved, no rotting, but definitely dead. Living things can't survive in there. Scratch the idea of moving into my pocket dimension as a luxury apartment. It's a storage unit, not a penthouse. Fair enough. But wait. If fresh food stays fresh forever in there. What about cooked food? My own cooking is fine, but after eating nothing but my own meals for years, I'd go insane. What I needed was restaurant-quality food, preserved forever in my magical freezer that isn't a freezer. I picked up my phone and called Hong Fu Tianxia, the biggest 5-star hotel in the city, famous for their incredible food. Hello, Hong Fu Grand Hotel. How may I help you? Hi. I'm hosting a huge banquet. 3 days and 3 nights of continuous feasting. I need to order 500 tables of food. Dead silence on the other end. 500 tables. At a 5-star hotel. Minimum 3,000 to 4,000 yuan per table. That's over 1 million yuan in food. The person on the phone probably dropped their headset. Please hold, sir. I need to get my manager. A new voice came on the line. Good day, sir. I'm Chen Dingfang, the hotel manager. May I ask who I'm speaking with? And just like that, Zhang Yi, former warehouse supervisor, current time-traveling doomsday prepper, was about to become the 5-star hotel's favorite customer of all time. My name is Zhang Yi, and I want 500 tables of banquet food. Can you do it or not? The hotel manager nearly choked. 500 tables. In their entire history, nobody had ever walked in with an order this insane. But money talks, and a multi-million yuan order SCREMS. Mr. Zhang, that'll be over 1 million yuan. We'll need a deposit of 200,000 up front. Send me the account number. I transferred 200,000 yuan like I was buying a pack of gum. Didn't even blink. On their end, I could practically hear the entire hotel erupting into chaos. Cancel all other orders. Call the suppliers. Move, move, move. The whale has arrived. After hanging up, reality hit me right in the wallet. My parents' inheritance plus my own savings totaled about 2 million yuan. Half of that just evaporated on fancy hotel food. My heart twinged a little. But then I reminded myself, in 30 days, money becomes arts and crafts material. Every yuan I don't spend is a yuan wasted. Most people will be sitting on piles of cash that can't buy them a single crumb. At least my money is turning into 500 tables of delicious, pocket dimension preserved gourmet meals. But I still needed more money. Renovations, medicine, weapons. My apocalypse shopping list was expensive. Then I looked at my apartment. 120 square meters in the central ring of Tianhai City. Built 10 years ago. Current market price, over 40,000 per square meter. Total value, more than 5 million yuan. Just sitting there. Being an asset. Mortgage loan. Obviously, I grin like a villain in a cartoon. Borrow against the house. Get millions. Never pay it back because civilization ends. This is the greatest financial hack in human history. Banks hate this one weird trick. It's called the apocalypse. I jumped in my car and drove straight to the bank. On the way, my phone buzzed. Fong Yuqing, Zhang Yi, the weekend is so boring. I really wish someone would take me out. I glanced at it and tossed the phone aside like it was a used napkin. At the bank, everything went surprisingly smooth. My documents were solid, the house was fully paid off, and the loan officers practically tripped over themselves processing my application. They approved 4 million yuan. Not the full value. But hey, free money is free money. I'm not about to argue with the people handing me cash I'll never return. Sign the papers. Money hit my account. Beautiful. Quick mental math. Spent a bit over 1 million on hotel food. Still had roughly 5 million left. Enough to renovate my fortress apartment, probably. But medicine stockpiles and weapons? That budget was looking tight. I was standing outside the bank, chin in hand, deep in my, how do I get more apocalypse funding? Thinking pose, when some guy with bleached yellow hair sidled up to me. Hey bro, need some cash? I looked up. Who are you? Yellow hair leaned in with a sly grin. Let me guess, you need money, and the bank won't give you enough? Oh, I knew exactly what this guy was. A loan shark. A high-interest predatory lender. The kind of person normal humans run away from screaming. But I am not a normal human. I am a time-traveling doomsday prepper who will never have to repay anything. I put on my best, desperate businessman face. Deep sigh, worried eyes, the whole performance. Yeah, my family business needs emergency funding. The bank won't cooperate. Yellow hair, whose name turned out to be Hu Minghua, business manager at something called Duo Lending Financial Services, lit up like a Christmas tree. Big fish on the hook. Banks are so difficult these days. All those rules and regulations. But we can help you, brother. He handed me a business card. I looked at it with carefully crafted hope in my eyes. You can really lend me money? I need 5 million. But I promise I can pay it back within 3 months. 3 months. When the world will be a frozen wasteland and this company will be an ice sculpture. Sure, buddy. 3 months. Pinky promise. Hu Minghua was practically vibrating with excitement. 5 million in loan shark interest? That's like winning the lottery for these guys. He took me to their office, a sketchy room in some remote office building that screamed, definitely not a front for anything illegal. Inside, I met the boss, Chen Xiong. Big burly dude wearing a fancy Balino suit, trying very hard to look like a legitimate businessman. He had that vibe, the kind of face that says, I've seen some things and done some things and you don't want to know about any of them. Mr. Zhang, how much do you want to borrow? Straight to business. No paperwork, no credit checks. No, let me run this through our compliance department. This was the financial equivalent of a back alley surgery. 5 million. Chen Xiong's eyebrow went up. That's not a small amount. Just so you know, our interest rates are high. Hu Minghua jumped in with the classic sales assist. But Mr. Zhang's business will bounce back soon. He'll make that money back in no time, right? These two were doing their little good cop routine, and I was sitting there watching it like a dinner show. Adorable. They thought they were scamming me. I kept my, desperate and grateful, mask on tight. Yes, I'll pay it back quickly. High interest is fine. Just please lend me the money. Inside my head, I was doing a victory dance. These loan sharks were about to hand 5 million yuan to a man who knows for a scientific fact that money will be worthless in 4 weeks. They'd have better luck collecting payment from a snowman. Chen Xiong flashed his shark smile. Our interest rate is 4%. You borrow 5 million. You pay back 7 million. Sign an IOU for 7 million and put up collateral. House, factory, car, whatever you've got. I pretended to hesitate for about 3 seconds. Gotta make it look real. Then whipped out my property deed like a man making the hardest decision of his life. This house is worth over 5 million. Take it as collateral. I've also got a 300,000 yuan Mercedes. Take that too if I can't pay. Chen Xiong snatched that property deed so fast I'm surprised he didn't get paper cuts. He checked everything, confirmed it was real, and behind his poker face I could see dollar signs doing backflips in his eyeballs. But of course, he had to play the game. This house is worth 4, maybe 5 million tops. Lending you 5 million on this. I'd be losing money. I cranked up the desperate act to maximum. Please, Mr. Chun, I'm begging you. I need this money today. I'll take 450,000 less. Just 450, please. He and Hu Minghua exchanged a look. Two wolves who just found a sheep wearing a sign that says, Eat me. They haggled me down to 4 million, convinced they were absolutely fleecing me alive. My one condition, money in my account today. And credit where credit's due. Loan sharks are incredibly efficient. Within hours, 4 million yuan landed in my bank account. Walking out of that office, I could hear them laughing behind me like cartoon villains. Huh, that idiot took 4 million and left. We'll make 2 or 3 million profit off this fool, Hu Minghua asked. Boss, he signed so fast. Think the house has problems? Chen Xiong examined my property deed like a jeweler admiring a diamond. The deed is real. As long as the house is his, he's not going anywhere. Then he got extra sinister over his coffee cup. And if worst comes to worst, we contact our overseas connections and see what his spare parts are worth. Charming people. Really wonderful human beings. Too bad they'll be frozen popsicles in 30 days and my debt will be buried under 50 feet of snow. The property deed they're clutching so proudly, it'll make a nice fire starter, if they survive long enough to start a fire. I walked out and glanced back at their building with a smirk. Such generous people. Just giving me free money. My wallet was now sitting at approximately 9 million yuan. Combined with deposit-based purchasing power, that's basically tens of millions in buying capacity. I briefly considered scamming some online lending platforms too, but honestly, 9 million was plenty. Even doomsday preppers have standards. Well, flexible standards, but still. I drove straight to War Dragon Security Company, the biggest, baddest security firm in the country. These guys provide protection for billionaires, celebrities, even some government officials. I came here because in my previous life, I'd heard they built a safe house worth $1 billion for some real estate tycoon's son. That rich kid apparently lived through the apocalypse in total luxury, all thanks to War Dragon's engineering. The front desk heard, safe house, and immediately escorted me to a private lounge with freshly ground coffee. Fancy. Then in walked Wu Huiran, the business department manager. This man was built like a refrigerator wearing a suit. Buzz cut, black suit stretched to its absolute limit across shoulders wide enough to land a helicopter on. He looked like if you punched him, your fist would apologize. But weirdly, seeing him made me feel safe. Which I guess is the whole point. How can we help you, sir? I need you to build me a safe house. The kind that can survive the end of the world. Maximum security level. Most people hearing this would laugh. War Dragon did not laugh. Because apparently, the richest and most powerful people on the planet are also the most paranoid. Billionaires worldwide have been spending hundreds of millions building apocalypse bunkers for years. Some are genuinely afraid of natural disasters. Others just have too many enemies and want to sleep without one eye open. War Dragon's Doomsday Safe House division was created specifically for this market. Wu Huiran's eyes lit up. Big-ticket orders like this were rare, even for them. Mr. Zhang, we're world-class. Whatever you need, we can deliver. Great. Can you convert an apartment on the 24th floor into a full safe house? He blinked. Normally these jobs are in standalone mansions or underground bunkers. Nobody builds a doomsday fortress inside an apartment building. I'm basically asking them to turn a condo into a military base. But the customer is king. Absolutely no problem. We're War Dragon. We can do anything. He handed me a tablet with their full-service catalog and pricing. Custom everything. Want a bunker 100 meters underground? They've got it. Under the ocean floor? Sure. On the moon? Probably working on it. I started scrolling through their options like a kid browsing a toy catalog, except instead of action figures, it was blast-proof walls, reinforced steel doors, and anti-siege architecture. The underground and underwater options looked amazing, but were way too slow to build. I only had 1 month. My apartment conversion was the only realistic play. This was it. My home on the 24th floor was about to become the most over-engineered, ridiculously fortified apartment in human history. And when those backstabbing neighbors come knocking during the apocalypse, they're going to find out that this time, Zhang Yi's door doesn't open. Time to build my Iron Turtle Fortress. I went through War Dragon's service catalog like a kid in a candy store, except instead of candy, it was military-grade building materials. My shopping list was absolutely unhinged. Every wall, ceiling, and floor, ripped out and replaced with 200 mm thick aerospace alloy. This stuff weighs 1/3 of steel, but is 10 times stronger. My apartment was about to have better armor than most tanks. And because it's lightweight, the building wouldn't collapse under it. Engineering. Windows, swap for the best bulletproof glass money can buy. Good luck throwing rocks at that. Neighbors. Air filtration system. Nobody's pumping poison gas into my house. Not today, not during the apocalypse, not ever. Full surveillance cameras. Every angle, zero blind spots. I'll see you coming before you even decide to come. Front door, replaced with the same material they use for bank vaults. You could strap dynamite to it, and it would basically yawn. I handed the tablet back to Wu Huiren. His eyes nearly popped out of his skull. For a 120 square meter apartment. This is basically a fortress, music to my ears. Then something clicked in my brain. You seem to know a lot about fortresses? Wu Huiren chuckled. I used to be a mercenary overseas. Military hardware is my thing, a mercenary. Sitting right in front of me. My mouth moved before my brain could stop it. Can you get me guns? His face went from casual to dead serious in half a second. Private gun ownership is very much illegal here. He got quiet and asked if I was in trouble with dangerous people. I grabbed that excuse like a life raft. Yes, exactly. Very dangerous people. They have weapons. I need to defend myself. Can't just sit in my iron box waiting to get shot. Wu Huiren smiled politely. Mr. Zhang, we're a legitimate company. I can't help with that. But his eyes told a different story. This man absolutely had connections. He just didn't want to get his hands dirty for some random customer. I played my card. This safe house project is costing over 8 million yuan. If something happens to me afterward, that's bad publicity for your company too. Help me out, and I'll make it worth your while. He went quiet, thinking, weighing. The gears were turning behind that buzz-cut skull. Go home for now. I can't promise anything, but I'll ask around. If something comes up, I'll contact you. Not a yes, but definitely not a no. I'll take it. No point pushing too hard. Guns require delicate negotiations. I signed the safe house contract on the spot and dropped another 1 million yuan as a deposit. The remaining balance? That payment is scheduled for approximately never. The apocalypse doesn't accept invoices. Wu Huiren promised the whole project would be done within 2 weeks. Perfect timing. Housing situation, handled. Next mission, weapons I could actually get right now. I called up Liu Yang, a buddy who runs a hunting range on the West Mountains. Hundreds of acres of land, cute harmless animals running around, rich people paying to play hunter. The man had a legal arsenal of crossbows, compound bows, and air rifles. Zhang bro, what do you need all this equipment for? These are for hunting only. You can't go hurting people with them. Relax. I'm going to Africa with some friends to hunt at a wildlife safari. Need to stock up. Ooh, fancy. Watch out for lions though, yeah? How fast can you get it ready? I've got everything in stock. Come pick it up whenever. I drove to that hunting range so fast my tires probably filed a complaint. Loaded up the car with 5 steel crossbows, 3 high-end compound bows, 300 arrows for each type, and 2 Damascus steel hunting knives. These knives were the real deal. So sharp and tough they'd survive anything short of chopping concrete for a year straight. Perfect for self-defense. Definitely just self-defense. My entire trunk was packed like a weapons depot. Looking at that pile of sharp, pointy death tools gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling inside. Safety at last. Everything was purchased through legal channels, and I even had a hunting license from back when I used to go for fun. No police problems. Clean and smooth. Got home by sunset. But the day wasn't over yet. My stomach had opinions. I went to Haidaleo, the most famous hot pot chain in the country, and destroyed an entire meal by myself. The broth, the meat, the sauces. Glorious. Then a terrifying thought hit me. After the apocalypse, I'll have to make my own hot pot. Forever. With no restaurant-quality soup base. Unacceptable. I called over the manager. I'd like to order 10,000 packs of hot pot soup base. The server's face went completely blank. Like someone had pressed the factory reset button on their brain. For a moment, I think they genuinely believed I was a spy from a rival restaurant sent to cause chaos. The manager came over, gave me a suspicious interrogation, but eventually agreed to take the order, on one condition, cash payment up front. They were still half convinced I was a corporate saboteur. I paid over 1 million yuan on the spot without flinching. The manager's suspicion evaporated and was instantly replaced by the biggest, most money-loving smile I've ever seen. He even threw in 500 extra packs for free. 10,500 packs of Haidaleo soup base. That's roughly one hot pot meal every 3 days for 86 years. The apocalypse can freeze the entire planet. It can bury cities under snow. It can end civilization as we know it. But it will not take away my hot pot. I left my address with Hadaleo so they could deliver 10,000 packs of hot pot base later. See, the restaurant stuff tastes way better than anything you buy in stores. That's the whole reason people eat at restaurants. If the packaged version tasted the same, nobody would bother going out. So yeah, I needed the real deal. On my way home, the 5-star hotel manager called. Mr. Zhang, your 500 tables are ready. When would you like delivery? Bring him over. But then I got thinking, 500 tables of one restaurant's food. What about variety? Am I going to eat the same cuisine for years? Absolutely not. I picked up my phone and started calling every major restaurant in the city. All 8 traditional cuisine styles plus Western food. 100 tables from each. Thousands of tables total. I basically pre-ordered my meals for the next half of my life in a single car ride. Then the circus arrived. 20 to 30 delivery trucks from Hongfu Grand Hotel rolled up to my apartment complex like a presidential motorcade. They completely blocked the road. Every single person in the neighborhood came outside with their jaws on the floor. Old Uncle Yu, the security guard, rushed over and blocked the convoy. What is all this? What's in these trucks? I can't just let you in, the hotel manager explained, but Uncle Yu insisted on seeing the actual resident first. Fair enough. 30 mysterious trucks showing up does look like an invasion. I went downstairs. The entire neighborhood had gathered at the gate like it was a concert. My neighbors, random bystanders, and of course, Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning, who apparently have built-in radar that detects any activity involving my money. Uncle Yu, it's all for me. Let them through. His face was priceless. Food delivery? What kind of food takes 30 trucks? The neighbors lost their minds. That's hundreds of tables. Where's he putting it all? Is he getting married? That's insane, even for a wedding. That's Hongfu Grand Hotel. 5 stars. Hundreds of tables from their costs over $1 million. Zhang Yi is secretly loaded. Everyone was staring at me like I was a celebrity. Fear, respect, confusion, the full buffet of emotions. Fang Yuqing practically sprinted over, eyes sparkling. Zhang Yi, what's going on at home? So much stuff. I ignored her completely and handed Uncle Yu a cigarette instead. He opened the gate. The convoy rolled in. Fang Yuqing latched onto my side like a barnacle, chatting away as if we were best friends going for a stroll. You can tell me anything. We're close friends, aren't we? Don't treat me like an outsider. I looked at her and dropped the bomb with a deep sigh. All this stuff is for my boss. I'm just handling delivery. And that Michelin restaurant the other day? He was treating me. I wish I had that kind of money. Watching her face change was like watching a sunset. Except instead of beautiful colors, it went through shades of disappointment, suspicion, and barely concealed disgust. You're joking, right? I shrugged. Why would I lie? You know my situation. My parents passed away years ago. I'm just a warehouse supervisor. No secret fortune here. The gears in her gold-digger brain recalculated instantly. No rich parents. No family business. Just a regular guy running errands for his boss. The hidden billionaire. Fantasy crumbled like a sandcastle. She quietly stepped back from me. Hair tuck. Polite smile activated. Well, rich or not, we're still the best of friends, right? I'm not a materialistic woman at all, she emphasized, friends, like she was stamping, rejected, on a loan application. Classic green tea move. Never burn the bridge to your backup, simp completely. You might need him to carry groceries again someday. I smirked and walked away. The hotel workers started unloading hundreds of tables of food into a basement storage room I'd borrowed from the building management. Packed in takeout containers, even 500 tables didn't look that ridiculous space-wise. We're talking top-shelf everything. Abalone, sea cucumber, shark fin, lobster, truffle, caviar. If the apocalypse had a VIP section, I just booked a permanent table. While the workers went back and forth carrying food, I snuck into the storage room during the gaps and vacuumed everything into my pocket dimension like a human black hole. Nobody noticed. Everyone was too busy with their own lives to wonder why the storage room kept getting emptier despite trucks constantly unloading. People are wonderfully self-absorbed that way. All 500 tables, gone. Safely preserved in my magical, timeless void. Fresh forever. That evening, Wu Huiren from War Dragon called. Good news. The safe house team was ready. They could start construction tomorrow. Come first thing in the morning, I told him. I'd moved to a hotel while they turned my apartment into a doomsday bunker. Then came the part I'd been waiting for. After the safe house talk, there was an awkward pause. Wu Huiren knew what I really wanted to discuss. After a long hesitation, he lowered his voice. If you truly need that kind of equipment, I might know someone. But the price won't be cheap. I didn't care about price. Money was burning a hole in my pocket that had exactly 29 days left before the pocket ceased to exist. Money's not a problem. Just make sure the quality is good. All right then. I'll set up a meeting. 3 days. I'll send you the location. 3 days until I get the great equalizer. The ultimate self-defense tool. The thing that makes every human exactly the same height. My apocalypse shopping list was coming together beautifully. Gourmet food from every cuisine on the planet. Check. Military-grade fortress apartment. In progress. Crossbows and hunting knives. In the trunk. And soon, the final piece of the puzzle. Zhang Yi's doomsday preparation status. Ahead of schedule and under budget. Well, way over budget actually. But who's counting when the bank is about to become an igloo? The gun situation was handled. One less thing on my apocalypse to-do list. Honestly, my stress levels were dropping faster than the temperature will be next month. Next morning, I packed up everything important from my apartment into my pocket dimension. The place was about to become a construction zone, so I'd be living in a hotel for a while. Tough life. Right on schedule, 3 black vans from War Dragon Security rolled into the neighborhood. A whole crew of workers piled out and started measuring my apartment like they were fitting me for the world's most aggressive suit. Tape measures, laser tools, tablets, the works. My neighbors, naturally, had opinions. What is wrong with Zhang Yi lately? He's lost his mind. I saw him buy 3 shopping carts of food the other day. Huh? Does he think the world is ending? All that food's gonna expire and go to waste. Maybe he's having a mental breakdown. Everyone decided I was the neighborhood crazy person. The local entertainment. Zhang Yi, the man who thinks the apocalypse is coming. Hilarious. Real knee slapper. Write that joke down, folks. You'll need the laughs when you're eating your own shoe leather in December. Even my 2 favorite gold diggers had turned on me. Lin Canning had her big breakthrough moment. OH, I get it now. That's why he was eating at that Michelin restaurant. He's gone crazy. Fang Yuqing was just angry. The memory of pushing those heavy carts while her feet were killing her. All for a lunatic who wasn't even rich, was eating her alive. What is Zhang Yi even doing with his life? Lin Canning, still thinking with her stomach. But he did promise us a fancy dinner. He won't forget, right? Fang Yuqing scoffed. Forget it. Look at him. He's mentally unstable. Even if he invited me, I wouldn't go. Imagine someone seeing us eating with the neighborhood weirdo. My reputation, she had rich husband hunting to do. Can't be seen dining with the local madman. Bad for the brand. Did I care? I cared so little that my level of caring had achieved absolute zero. In 1 month, they'd all understand who the real clown was. Spoiler. It's everyone who isn't building a steel fortress and stockpiling gourmet food. I drove to work at the Walmart warehouse. Monday morning, time to clock in, and more importantly, time to scout my future heist location. The warehouse sits in the economic development zone on the edge of the city, where land is cheap and every major company parks their storage facilities, including, conveniently, several pharmaceutical company warehouses. Very useful information for a man who needs medicine stockpiles. Walking into that Walmart warehouse felt completely different this time. Usually this place bored me to tears. But today it looked like Aladdin's cave. Every aisle, every shelf, every pallet, future Zhang Yi property. The numbers in this place are absolutely stupid. Tens of thousands of cases of Coca-Cola alone. An entire 1,000,000+ square meters packed floor to ceiling with everything a human could ever need. Food, clothing, hardware tools, and, oh yes, cars, drones, diesel generators, and barrels of gasoline. If a supermarket is legally allowed to sell it, this warehouse has a mountain of it. I've worked here for years. I know every shelf, every camera position, every shift schedule, every security gap. I could shut down their entire surveillance system in 10 minutes flat, then use my pocket dimension to vacuum up everything before anyone noticed. But not yet. No need to rush and spook anyone. The heist happens right before doomsday. Maximum efficiency, minimum consequences. I took a casual stroll through the aisles, mentally tagging everything like a kid circling items in a Christmas catalog, then headed out. Next stop, The pharmaceutical warehouse next door. Ruining medical company. I lit up a pack of premium cigarettes and went to visit my buddy Joe Hiron, one of their warehouse managers. Now, Joe Hiron was what you'd call an entrepreneurial employee. His brother-in-law was a vice president at Ruining Group, which meant Joe had been quietly liberating medications from the warehouse and selling them on the side for years. Real stand-up guy. I chatted him up, danced around the subject for a bit, then got to the point. I needed several crates of serious emergency medicine. He got suspicious at first, but then I dropped the magic words, double market price. His moral hesitation evaporated like morning dew. Amazing how that works. We settled on a deal. 5 large crates of specialty medications for 3 million yuan. Enough medicine to treat every illness I might catch for the rest of my natural life. And probably my next life too. If a normal person added up every single time they got sick from birth to death, they still wouldn't use half of what I just bought. With medicine handled, my apocalypse shopping list was essentially complete. Food, fortress, weapons, medicine, all accounted for. Working at this job for the remaining month felt absolutely pointless, so I marched into the warehouse manager's office and requested 20 days off. My excuse: a great-uncle back in my hometown passed away. Family funeral. Very sad. Need time. My boss liked me. Our relationship was solid. And even though 20 days off is frankly ridiculous, he approved it without much fuss. The power of being a nice coworker for years finally paying off, in the form of 3 weeks to prepare for the end of civilization. On my way out of the manager's office, I spotted Fong Yuqing at the coffee machine. She was bent over getting her cup, doing that thing where she wiggles while standing perfectly still, like she's at a dance club instead of a break room. Pure instinct. The woman couldn't pour coffee without turning it into a performance. Sure enough, a pack of male co-workers had gathered around her like moths around a very manipulative flame. One guy named Zhou Peng was waving concert tickets in her face, grinning like an idiot, trying to invite her to some singer's show. Zhou Peng. I remembered him very clearly. Lives in my apartment complex. One of Fong Yuqing's loyal simps. And in my previous life, one of the people who helped murder me. I looked at him for a long moment, memorized his stupid smiling face, and kept walking. Enjoy the concert, buddy. Your playlist is about to get a lot shorter. There I was, watching Zhou Peng perform the world's saddest mating dance in front of Fong Yuqing at the coffee machine. The poor guy blew an entire month's salary on concert tickets, and she swatted him away like a mosquito with the classic, "Oh, I already have plans that night." Such bad timing. The disappointment on his face was almost artistic, like watching a souffle collapse in slow motion. Then this genius spotted me smirking nearby and decided, in a stroke of absolutely terrible judgment, that attacking me would somehow impress his crush. He marched over with his chest puffed out like a pigeon in a windstorm. "Zhang Yi, how dare you make a woman carry heavy things? Yuqing's been complaining about her back all day. You should be ashamed." And right on cue, Fong Yuqing launched into her Oscar performance. "Oh no, it's fine, really. It's just, my little waist is so sore." She grabbed her lower back and made a pained face that belonged in a soap opera. The woman could fake suffer like nobody's business. Zhou Peng, fully powered by simp energy, pointed his finger at me like a prosecutor in a courtroom drama. "You need to give Yuqing 500 yuan for medical treatment, right?" Now, something inside me snapped. Not in a scary way. More like a rubber band of patience that had been stretched for 2.5 years finally giving up. She volunteered to help. I didn't BG her. "And who exactly are you to be barking orders at me? You really think you're somebody?" My voice hit a volume that made the entire break room go silent. Zhou Peng's tough guy act deflated faster than a punctured balloon. His brave fingers slowly lowered. "Why are you yelling?" I was just suggesting. I turned and walked away. Arguing with Zhou Peng felt like debating a corpse, which, statistically speaking, he would be in about a month. Why waste my breath on someone who's got a 99% chance of becoming a frozen statue? Behind me, I could hear Zhou Peng scurrying back to Fong Yuqing, whispering, "See? I told you he's no good. Stay away from him." Meanwhile, Fong Yuqing was staring after me with genuine confusion. The Zhang Yi she knew, the one who chased her for 2.5 years, texted her goodnight every single evening, and jumped at every chance to talk to her, had completely vanished. In his place was this cold, indifferent man who looked at her like she was furniture. After work, I drove straight to the Hongfu Grand Hotel, same place I'd ordered 500 tables from. The manager practically rolled out a red carpet when he heard I was checking in. 1,000+ yuan per night for a 5-star suite? Pocket change. I had millions burning a hole in my account with an expiration date of exactly 1 month. That evening, my phone buzzed. Fang Yuqing, reaching out on her own initiative for the first time in recorded history. Zhang Yi, I walked past your place today and saw renovation work. What's going on? Yep, you've been acting so strange lately. Buying all that stuff, renovating your house. Is something about to happen? My eyebrow went up. This woman was annoying, evil, and shameless, but she wasn't stupid. She noticed my pattern. Stockpiling food, ordering hundreds of banquet tables, armoring my apartment. Even a green tea princess could connect those dots if they were big enough. Nothing. I tossed my phone aside. On her end, Fang Yuqing was apparently having a full emotional crisis. For 2 years, I'd been her loyal puppy, showering her with attention, chatting every night, asking about her day. Now, radio silence. Cold responses. No goodnight texts. Nothing. She didn't actually want me, but she absolutely could not handle me not wanting her. In her mind, I was a fish escaping from her personal pond. Sure, she was saving her net for a bigger catch, but she still wanted me swimming in circles just in case. She sent another message. I feel like we haven't talked much lately. It makes me a little lonely. I didn't respond. Somewhere across the city, I imagine she stared at her phone screen waiting for a reply that would never come, slowly going insane. Her roommate Lin Caning wandered over. Zhang Yi has been weird lately. Buying all that food, ordering hundreds of tables from hotels. It's like he thinks there's going to be a shortage or something. Fang Yuqing actually paused. What if something is going to happen? What if he knows something we don't? Lin Caning burst out laughing. Girl, if anything was coming, the government would announce it. Relax. If we started stockpiling stuff, people would think we're the crazy ones. Fang Yuqing laughed at herself. Yeah, you're right. Oh, ladies, remember this conversation. Tattoo it on your brains. Because in about 4 weeks, you're going to replay this exact moment while shivering in the dark, and it's going to hit very differently. I spent the next several days living my best hotel life. My routine was beautifully simple. Order more banquet food from every restaurant in the city during the day, and practice archery in my hotel room at night. Crossbow training, compound bow drills, target practice at 15 meters. Thanks to my hunting hobby from before, I already had decent aim. But now I was getting sharp. With a professional compound bow, even an average person can shoot like a legendary archer from ancient times. At 15 meters, I was hitting targets with scary accuracy. These modern compound bows are no joke, powerful enough to take down wild boars, wolves, even large dogs. And I had 5 crossbows and 3 bows in my collection. Nobody was getting through my fortress door, and if somehow they did, they'd be meeting the pointy end of my new hobby. Zhang Yi, apocalypse prepper by day, hotel room Robin Hood by night. 3 days after my chat with Wu Huiran, the deal went through. 2 guns, 100 bullets, heavy, cold, and absolutely beautiful. The price was steep, but honestly, holding that weight in my hands made me feel like a completely different species. In the apocalypse, this is the difference between being a survivor and being someone else's lunch. The medicine deal with Zhou Hairan also wrapped up nicely. 5 crates of premium imported pharmaceuticals, delivered and stashed. My pocket dimension was starting to look like a combination of a 5-star restaurant, a sporting goods store, and a hospital pharmacy. Truly a man of diverse interests. 1 week later, Wu Huiran called. Mr. Zhang, your safe house is ready. Please come inspect it. I checked out of my luxury hotel. Goodbye, room service. Goodbye, fluffy bathrobes, and drove back to my apartment complex. Walking into my apartment felt like stepping into a different dimension. War Dragon had absolutely outdone themselves. From the outside, looked exactly the same as before. Normal apartment door, normal walls, nothing suspicious. But from the inside, this place was a beast. Wu Huiran gave me the grand tour like a proud father showing off his newborn tank. The ventilation system is military grade. Filters out any harmful gas. Nobody's smoking you out of here. Insulation uses materials from Arctic research stations. Combined with your custom fireplace, this apartment retains 99.5% of heat. You could survive inside while it's -70 outside. Then he hit me with the surprise bonus, grinning like he'd hidden a birthday present. We also installed 300 surveillance cameras throughout the entire building. Every floor, every hallway, every angle. You can monitor the whole building from your living room. 300 cameras. I can see everything. Every neighbor, every stairwell, every suspicious movement. Santa Claus has nothing on my surveillance capabilities. I see you when you're sleeping. I see you when you're awake. I see you when you're trying to break down my bank vault door with a crowbar. So be good for goodness sake. The balcony had been converted into a massive floor-to-ceiling window, bulletproof and blast-proof. Stronger than the alloy walls themselves. Perfect for daylight and for watching the frozen hellscape outside while sipping hot cocoa in my toasty fortress. I was genuinely speechless. Unless an actual military unit rolled up with heavy weapons, nobody was getting through that door. The whole building could collapse and my apartment would just sit there in the rubble like a stubborn brick, perfectly intact. I'm very satisfied, I told Wu Huiran, which is Zhang 4. I'm losing my mind with joy right now. He smiled, pulled out paperwork, and asked me to sign. Please settle the remaining balance within 3 months. Absolutely. Definitely. 100%. That balance is going to the same place as my bank loan and my loan shark debt. Directly into the things I will never pay because civilization ends first folder. I just white-knuckled a safe house worth nearly 10 million yuan for a deposit of 1 million. The greatest coupon deal in human history. I flopped onto my sofa, admiring my impenetrable fortress, feeling like the king of the world, when suddenly my brain went ping. Water. Water. I forgot about water. I slapped my own forehead so hard it echoed off my aerospace alloy walls. How do you prepare for the apocalypse and forget the one thing humans literally cannot survive 3 days without? Sure, I could go outside and chip ice. But outside will be negative 70 degrees and full of desperate, violent people. That's not a water collection trip. That's a suicide mission. I grabbed my phone and ordered 100 massive water storage tanks through a delivery app. 500 cubic meters of water total. Years and years of supply. Plus I'd grab mineral water from the Walmart warehouse later. Problem solved. Crisis averted. Brain forgiven. The delivery guys showed up within hours, bless their speedy souls, and I went downstairs to meet them at the gate. Uncle Yu, the security guard, let them through, and once again, the entire neighborhood gathered to watch the Zhang Yi show. What is wrong with this guy? He bought steel plates last week, now water tanks. I heard the steel plates were like 10 centimeters thick. He's building a bunker. Does he think there's going to be a water shortage? In Tianhai City? We're next to the ocean. Ha ha ha, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Keep laughing, everyone. Screenshot this moment. Frame it. Hang it on your wall. Oh wait, your wall will be buried under 50 feet of snow. Uncle Yu came over, genuinely concerned. Little Zhang, what's all this for? Need help carrying anything? Something in my chest softened. Uncle Yu is good people. Retired soldier. No family. Been the neighborhood security guard for over a decade. Always kind. Always helpful. In my previous life, this man gave his last food to a starving mother and her daughter, then quietly starved to death himself. He was one of the only truly good humans I saw in the entire apocalypse. I couldn't save everyone, but maybe I could save him. Uncle Yu, I've got insider information. This winter is going to be really bad. Unusually cold. You should stock up on food and water, instant noodles, bottled water, stuff that keeps. Just in case. He frowned, taking me seriously. Really? Your source is reliable. Look at how much I've been preparing. Just grab some extra noodles and water. It won't go to waste even if nothing happens. Uncle Yu nodded slowly. He lived alone, already kept noodles and sausages around. Adding more wouldn't hurt. He decided to go shopping soon. Good man. Smart man. Alive man, if I have anything to say about it. But old man Tang, standing nearby, had to stick his nose in. Young Zhang, don't go around saying things like that. Our society is perfectly stable. Where would shortages come from? Talk like that could get you reported for spreading rumors. The authorities will come knocking. I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw my own brain. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I'll be sure to worry about getting a stern talking to from the police while the rest of you are becoming human popsicles. I walked away without another word. I'd done what I could. Warned the one person worth warning. The rest of them could laugh all they wanted. In exactly 20-something days, this entire neighborhood would realize that the crazy guy with the water tanks was the only genius among them. But by then, my bank vault door would be locked. My 300 cameras would be rolling, and my response to their desperate knocking would be absolutely, beautifully, magnificently nothing. I got those 100 giant water tanks delivered to the storage room, sucked them into my pocket dimension, brought them home, and turned on every faucet in my apartment. At this rate, all 100 tanks would be full within a week. Water crisis, handled. The days blurred together after that, and I was the busiest unemployed person in the city. Every single yuan got spent. Breakfast at a luxury restaurant. Lunch at a different luxury restaurant. Dinner at yet another luxury restaurant. Then I'd order hundreds of extra meals to go and vacuum them into my void. My pocket dimension was becoming the world's most exclusive food court. Between meals, I hit the shooting range every single day. Crossbow, compound bow, firearms, practice, practice, practice. Turning myself into a martial arts expert in 1 month? Impossible. But turning myself into a guy who can put an arrow through your kneecap at 15 meters while sitting behind a bank vault door? Very achievable. Everyone around me thought I'd completely lost it. The neighbors whispered. Coworkers snickered. Even Fong Yuqing started avoiding me like I was contagious. The neighborhood consensus was that Zhang Yi had suffered a total mental breakdown. Perfect. Let them think I'm crazy. Crazy people don't get robbed because nobody thinks they have anything worth stealing. 20-something days flew by. The apocalypse was knocking on the door. I'd stockpiled mountains of food, weapons, medicine, and heating supplies, but it still wasn't enough to calm my nerves. There was still one enormous treasure chest left to crack open. The Walmart warehouse. The big one. The million-square-meter monster. I couldn't wait until the very last day because I'd remembered something from my previous life. The government higher-ups actually got advance warning about the gamma rays. They started secretly moving massive amounts of supplies before regular people had any clue. If I waited too long, the warehouse might already be half empty by the time I got there. Besides, if billions of yuan worth of merchandise vanished right before a global catastrophe, the people in charge would be too busy saving their own skins to investigate properly. Perfect cover. I went back to work like nothing was wrong. Clocked in, said hi to everyone. Totally normal day. Just your friendly neighborhood warehouse supervisor. Definitely not planning the heist of the century. The night shift crew was only 10 people. My plan was elegant in its simplicity. Sleeping pills and the tea. That's it. No hacking, no disguises, no Ocean's 11 nonsense. Just good old-fashioned drug beverages. These were guys I'd worked with for years. They trusted me completely. I felt a tiny twinge of guilt for about half a second, then reminded myself the world ends in 3 days and poured the pills in. One by one, they dropped like flies. Heads on desks. Snoring peacefully. Sweet dreams, fellas. I strolled into the surveillance room and shut down every single camera. I knew this system like the back of my hand. Every wire, every switch, every blind spot. Total blackout in under 10 minutes. Gloves on. Shoes switched to a pair 2 sizes too big, just in case anyone checked footprints later. Precautions of a professional. Well, a professional warehouse thief. First-time warehouse thief. Whatever. I was prepared. I stepped into the warehouse and took one deep breath. Then I got to work. The beverage section came first. Tens of thousands of tons of bottled water, sodas, juices, fancy red wines, imported whiskey. I didn't sort, didn't pick favorites, didn't read labels. My right eye scanned each shelf. My brain said, mine, and entire racks of drinks vanished into my pocket dimension like they were being deleted from reality. Thousands of cubic meters of liquid refreshment, gone in minutes. Next, fuel storage. Smokeless coal, barrel gasoline, solid alcohol. Everything you need to keep warm and keep machines running. Tens of thousands of boxes of coal alone. Enough fuel for hundreds of years of one-man consumption. I took every last piece without a moment's hesitation. In the apocalypse, this stuff wouldn't reach ordinary people anyway. The powerful would hoard it all. At least in my hands, it would keep one very deserving person alive and toasty. I organized everything inside my pocket dimension using my years of warehouse management expertise. Ironically, my boring day job turned out to be the most valuable skill in the apocalypse. Proper shelf arrangement, zone allocation, inventory logic. I was running the world's most secret warehouse inside my own head. Then came the food section. Tens of thousands of tons. Multiple warehouses packed floor to ceiling like edible mountains. Canned goods, pre-packaged roast chicken, roast duck, chips, instant meals, premium snacks. A supermarket the size of a small city, and every crumb of it was about to become mine. This is literally enough for 10 lifetimes. I grabbed everything. Not picky, not selective. If it existed on a shelf, it went into the void. After food, I raided the sporting goods section. Exercise equipment for my safe house, treadmills, weights, everything to keep my body in shape during the frozen apocalypse. Couldn't let myself turn into a couch potato just because civilization ended. Then I found the real gems. Baseball bats and fencing swords, excellent improvised weapons. And buried in the winter sports section, professional-grade cold weather gear designed for national-level athletes. Suits rated for -100 degrees. The absolute latest 2050 technology. My eyes lit up like fireworks. These were the ultimate survival equipment for an Ice Age apocalypse, and there were dozens of sets. Grabbed every last one, along with matching sleeping bags. Didn't even pretend to feel guilty. 2 hours. That's all it took. One man, 2 hours, and a magic pocket dimension. An entire million-square-meter warehouse. Hundreds of billions of yuan worth of merchandise. Completely, utterly, spectacularly empty. I stood in the middle of that vast, hollow space and felt a satisfaction so deep it was almost spiritual. Let the Ice Age come. Let it freeze the whole planet. I have enough supplies to live comfortably until the sun explodes. I went back to my desk, swapped my oversized shoes and gloves for my normal ones, tossed the evidence into my pocket dimension, and took a tiny sip of the drugged tea myself. Then I laid my head on the desk and fell asleep for real. Sometime later, someone shook me awake frantically. Supervisor. Supervisor. Wake up. Something terrible happened. I opened my eyes with my best. What where am I face. What's going on? A coworker pointed at the warehouse, hand trembling. It's like ghosts did it. The warehouse is completely empty. What? I slammed my palm on the desk and jumped up. Academy Award performance. Eat your heart out. I rushed to the warehouse and stared at the empty space with wide, horrified eyes. My legs wobbled. My voice shook. What happened? Where did everything go? There were billions of yuan worth of goods in here. My coworkers were panicking too. Even with trucks running 24 hours, it would take days to move all that. How did it vanish overnight? Nobody mentioned falling asleep on the job, naturally. Sleeping during night shift was everyone's dirty little secret. Nobody was about to confess that detail during the investigation. I paced back and forth, wearing my most concerned manager face. This is way above our pay grade. Call the higher-ups. Let them figure it out. Everyone nodded enthusiastically. 100 billion yuan mystery? Making a few thousand a month? Not their problem. Not even close to their problem. Let the executives have the heart attacks. I called the warehouse general manager. When I told him everything was gone, every shelf, every item, every last can of Coke, the silence on the other end was so long I thought he'd fainted. He probably thought I was pranking him. Meanwhile, inside my pocket dimension, a perfectly organized, meticulously arranged, 100 billion yuan personal shopping mall, ready to serve its sole customer for the rest of eternity. Best shift ever. The news traveled up the corporate ladder at the speed of panic. Walmart's top executives came stampeding to the scene like a herd of terrified elephants in business suits. The South China general manager, Tom Watson, turned whiter than the empty shelves when he saw the warehouse. Oh my God, how am I going to explain this to headquarters? Turns out, and this was delicious, Walmart's American headquarters had actually already ordered all the supplies shipped back to the States. The higher-ups overseas had gotten wind that something bad was coming and sent ships to collect everything. Those ships were literally about to dock at Tianhai Port. Surprise. Nothing to load, boys. The shelves are as empty as my conscience. Was I worried about getting caught? Not even slightly. How do you explain millions of cubic meters of merchandise disappearing in 2 hours with 0 trucks, 0 tire tracks, and 0 evidence? You don't. That's how. The police checked every external camera around the warehouse. Not a single vehicle entered or left that night. The stuff either teleported to another dimension, correct, or Walmart staged an insurance fraud, incorrect, but way more believable. The cops brought me in for questioning. I put on my best, scared employee face, wide eyes, nervous hands, shaky voice, and cooperated fully. After one night of interrogation, they let me go. What were they going to charge me with? Making a warehouse disappear with my eyeballs? Good luck writing that police report. The investigation was a beautiful disaster. It was a foreign company, not a state-owned enterprise, so the police weren't exactly breaking down doors to solve it. The case was so absurdly large and impossible that different departments started playing hot potato with it. Your jurisdiction? No, your jurisdiction. Actually, this might be an international matter. 3 days to solve it? Try 3 months. And in 3 months, there wouldn't be a functioning police department or functioning anything, really. They told me not to leave the city and to stay available for follow-up questions. Absolutely, officer. I'll be right here, not going anywhere, which was true. My apocalypse fortress was in this city, and I had zero intention of leaving it. I got home, peeked through my bulletproof blinds. December 10th. 2 days until the end of the world. My to-do list was officially complete. All I had to do now was sit in my billion-yuan stuffed apartment and wait. I crashed hard, slept until evening, woke up, turned on the TV, and there it was, my masterpiece, all over the national news. Every channel was covering the mysterious Walmart warehouse heist. Pundits were arguing, experts were theorizing, everyone had an opinion. Obviously insider fraud. Walmart did it themselves for the insurance. Has to be internal. Probably the executives. But you can't move millions of cubic meters in one night, even with trucks. I sipped my drink and smiled. This mystery would never be solved. In 2 days, every detective, journalist, and armchair investigator would have much bigger problems, like not freezing to death. The police called me in one more time for follow-up questions. They were suspicious about some things from that night. But suspicious and provable are two very different words. No evidence, no case. I answered everything politely and went home. Some friends and coworkers texted me asking for insider gossip about the heist. I fed them all nonsense and changed the subject. Nobody would ever know. Then December 12th arrived. I sealed every opening in my apartment hours early. The fireplace was already crackling. Soon enough, electricity would die and heating systems across the city would go dark forever. Fire, humanity's oldest friend, was about to become its most important one again. At 2 a.m., I sat on my sofa in front of the massive floor-to-ceiling window, beer in hand, staring into the darkness. Then I saw it. A flash of white light at the edge of the sky. For exactly 2 seconds, midnight looked like sunset. The whole horizon glowed, then went dark again. Silent. Quick. Almost beautiful. Most people were asleep. They had no idea that those 2 seconds just sentenced their planet to an ice age. My back was drenched in cold sweat. I chugged my beer, tossed more wood into the fireplace, turned on the TV, waited. Within minutes, snowflakes started falling. Tiny at first, fingernail-sized. Then 2 minutes later, massive, fat, aggressive snowflakes pouring from the sky like the clouds had burst open. The wind started screaming. The snow went from pretty to terrifying in the time it takes to microwave popcorn. The entire city was being swallowed. Just like that. No warning. No countdown. Nature doesn't send calendar invites. My heart was pounding. I'd lived through this once already, and knowing what's coming didn't make it less scary. Would my 8 million yuan safe house actually hold up? I checked the indoor temperature, 32.6 degrees Celsius. 32.6. My apartment was basically a sauna while the world outside was turning into Antarctica. I actually had to reduce the firewood because it was getting too hot. Too hot. During the apocalypse. That's when I knew this safe house was the real deal. I checked my phone. The internet was still alive, and it was chaos. Everyone was freaking out. -15 degrees? What is happening? The roads are going to be frozen by morning. How am I supposed to get to work? Some people were actually happy. So much snow. Day off tomorrow. Ha! Southern folks who'd never seen real snow were posting selfies with the blizzard like tourists. OMG, first time seeing snow this big. So magical. I shook my head. Magical. Sure. Wait until it's -70 and that magical snow is burying your house up to the roof. Wait until that selfie arm gets frostbite. Wait until day off becomes day off forever because your office is an ice cube. This was just the appetizer, people. The snow was going to keep falling for months. The temperature was going to keep dropping. And one by one, the lights were going to go out. I threw another log on the fire, leaned back in my warm, cozy, impenetrable fortress, and cracked open another beer. The Ice Age had officially begun, and I had front row seats. The Ice Age kicked off, and I was living like a king on a cloud made of steak and expensive bedding. While the entire internet was losing its collective mind about the sudden snowstorm, I was stretched out on my sofa in a toasty 20-something degree apartment, sipping an ice-cold Budweiser. Not because I needed the cold, because I wanted it. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. My phone was blowing up. Every group chat I'm in, old school friends, hobby groups, the apartment building residents, was on fire. Why is it snowing this hard? The weather forecast said nothing. I woke up freezing. Turn on the AC, and it's barely doing anything. I haven't even bought winter clothes yet. Most people still thought this was just a weird cold snap. Some were actually excited about the snow. Adorable. Tragic. Adorably tragic. I yawned, tossed the phone aside, and crawled into bed. Not just any bed, a luxury masterpiece I'd liberated from the Walmart warehouse. The mattress alone was supposedly the same model some famous actress uses, worth 3 million yuan. I was sleeping on a celebrity mattress while the world froze. Outside, howling blizzard. Inside, fireplace crackling, temperature perfect, velvet blanket pulled up to my chin. I was out like a light in seconds. Morning came courtesy of the worst alarm clock imaginable, Fang Yuqing calling my phone. I answered with all the warmth of a glacier. "What do you want this early?" She hesitated at my tone, then pushed forward. "Zhang Yi, it's so cold outside. You were stockpiling supplies before. Did you know this was coming?" Her voice was shaking, whether from cold or from the realization that the crazy guy might have been right all along. I couldn't tell. Didn't care either. A friend mentioned something. Didn't think it'd be this bad. I threw the covers off. My room was so warm I was actually sweating in my sleep. Walked to the floor-to-ceiling window in my slippers. The view hit different. Snow had devoured the city. Streets? Gone. Bushes? Buried. First floors of buildings? Halfway underwater, well under snow. The skyline was just vague shapes poking out of a wide ocean. And the snow was still falling. Fat, relentless flakes cascading down like the sky had an unlimited supply. On the phone, Fang Yuqing was still talking. "You could have told me. I would have prepared. Now I'm freezing, and it's basically your fault. My fault. My fault." The woman who got me killed in my last life was blaming me for not saving her from the apocalypse she refused to believe in. The audacity was almost impressive. I hung up, threw the phone on the couch, walked to the bathroom, and took a long, luxurious hot shower, something that 99% of the city would never experience again. Breakfast time. I reached into my pocket dimension and pulled out a slab of premium A5 Wagyu beef. Pan-seared it to perfection, paired it with fresh Italian pasta, and poured myself a glass of red wine. Breakfast of champions. Breakfast of apocalypse winners. Turn on the TV while eating. Electricity was still running for now. The grid hadn't collapsed yet. But even when it did, I had dozens of generators and enough gasoline to power a small town for 300 years. Energy? Not on my worry list. Not even on my radar. The morning news was something. Both anchors were wearing thick, puffy winter jackets on air. These are people who work in buildings with priority power supply and industrial-grade central heating. If they're bundled up like Arctic explorers, the situation outside is catastrophic. The female anchor tried her best to stay calm. A severe cold front struck the entire globe last night, causing temperatures to plummet 70 to 100 degrees across all regions. Meteorological departments are investigating the cause. Please stay warm, avoid going outside, and do not panic. Do not spread rumors. Do not hoard supplies. This snowstorm will pass soon. I nearly spit out my wine. Will pass soon. That's like telling someone on the Titanic that the puddle on the floor will dry up. This blizzard was going to last months. The temperature would keep dropping. And don't hoard supplies. That ship has sailed, my friends. That ship sailed, docked at Zhang Yi's apartment, and unloaded 100 billion yuan worth of cargo. The corner of the TV screen showed the current outdoor temperature in Tianhai City, negative 65 degrees Celsius. Yesterday, it was positive 15. That's an 80-degree drop in less than 24 hours. Exactly like my previous life. And there I sat, in my pajamas, cutting into Wagyu steak, drinking red wine at breakfast, in a room so warm I was considering turning the fireplace down. My phone buzzed again. Couldn't resist checking. Fong Yuqing had texted, "Why did you hang up on me? The snow is crazy. I can't go outside. You bought all that food before. Can you lend me some? I'll pay you back when the storm is over." The nerve. The absolute, breathtaking, world-class nerve of this woman. She knew food was about to become priceless. She didn't want to brave negative 65 degrees. So her plan was to sweet-talk the former simp into feeding her. Classic Fong Yuqing. Why struggle when you can manipulate? In my last life, I fell for this exact trick. Gave her food, showed her kindness, and she repaid me by getting me beaten to death and trying to boil my ribs into soup. This time was going to be fun. I typed back, "Sorry, babe, I've eaten through most of my stash already. Look, just made breakfast." Then I took the most deliberately infuriating selfie in human history. Me, in my cozy pajamas, grinning at the camera, with a perfectly seared Wagyu steak, a glass of red wine, and Italian pasta arranged beautifully on the table behind me. Every pixel of that photo screamed, "I am warm, well-fed, and absolutely thriving while you freeze." I hit send. Revenge doesn't always need weapons. Sometimes all you need is a good steak and a camera. Meanwhile, across the building, Fong Yuqing was having a very different morning experience. Picture this. A grown woman wrapped in 2 blankets like a human burrito, shivering so hard her teeth were playing a drum solo. Her air conditioner was cranked to 40 degrees, and the room still couldn't break zero. Cold air was sneaking into her blankets like uninvited guests at a party. Then she opened my photo. Her eyes went wide. There I was, Zhang Yi, same building, same neighborhood, wearing thin pajamas, casually eating Wagyu steak, and drinking wine that costs more than her monthly rent. Looking warm, relaxed, and absolutely unbothered. She recognized everything instantly. Top grade A5 Wagyu. French wine from a premier estate. Minimum 20 to 30,000 yuan per bottle. This woman could identify luxury goods the way a sommelier identifies grapes. It's her superpower. Her only useful skill in the apocalypse would be telling you exactly how expensive the food is that she can't have. Her jealousy went nuclear. She fired off a text dripping with hints thicker than the snow outside. "Wow, that looks so nice. I wish I could have steak and wine too." Old Zhangyi would have sprinted through a blizzard to deliver a 5-course meal to her door. New Zhangyi. New Zhangyi typed back one beautiful sentence. "Then go to the supermarket and buy some." The supermarket. In negative 65 degrees, where exposed skin freezes in seconds. I basically told her to go ice skating in a volcano, except the opposite. She was furious. "You're not even a real man. I gave you the perfect chance to impress me, and you blew it." Even now, wrapped in blankets, freezing, begging for food, this woman was still acting like she was doing me a favor by letting me serve her. The delusion was genuinely impressive. She still believed the blizzard would blow over in a few days, so she maintained her goddess act. Wouldn't directly ask for food. Too proud. Too stupid. Too cold. I tossed my phone aside and switched to the apartment building group chat for some quality entertainment. Grandma Lin, the self-appointed neighborhood dictator, was in full command mode, typing orders like a general who'd never been to war. "Everyone calm down. This is just a little cold spell. 2 or 3 days, tops. Do not go out and hoard supplies. Trust the authorities. The building committee will handle everything. Follow instructions. Don't cause trouble," some brave soul pushed back. "But the snow is insane. We can't even get outside easily. Shouldn't we stock up just in case?" "Yeah, grocery prices are probably skyrocketing right now." Grandma Lin dropped the hammer. "Are you trying to cause chaos? Hoarding supplies makes prices go up for everyone. If I catch anyone stockpiling food, I will personally report them to the authorities for disturbing public order." I read this with my mouth full of steak, smiling like a villain in a movie. Here's the tragic truth. Today was day 1. The supermarkets still had food. Yes, going outside in negative 65 degrees was dangerous, but people could still make it to a store and grab supplies. This was literally their last window of opportunity. And Grandma Lin was slamming it shut, threatening people with reports and punishment for trying to survive. Every person who listened to her and stayed home was one step closer to starvation. Then the old bat turned her crosshairs on me. She tagged me in the group chat. "At Zhangyi, you already hoarded a bunch of stuff before the storm. Don't be a bad example for everyone else. Stay home and behave." If I catch you going out to buy more, don't blame me for getting serious. My face went dark for about 2 seconds. This woman was still holding a grudge about the chocolate incident. She couldn't get free stuff from me, so now she was using her tiny scrap of authority to take shots at me in public. I smiled and typed back, Grandma Lynn, nobody knows how long this blizzard will last. If it goes on for weeks and everyone runs out of food, are you going to take responsibility for telling them not to prepare? That one sentence cracked the dam. Other residents jumped in immediately. He's right. You're telling us not to stock up? What if we starve? Can you guarantee we won't run out of food? Grandma Lynn panicked. People were actually challenging her authority. In her group chat, she doubled down like a cornered animal. I can assure you all, supplies will not run short. The blizzard will pass quickly. Then she came for me again. And you, Zhang Yi, stop stirring people up. That's illegal behavior. You're disturbing public morale. Somewhere in her apartment, I imagine she was grinding her teeth to dust, muttering about finding some way to get me detained. I burst out laughing. Detained? By who? The police who can't drive through 10 feet of snow? The authorities who'll be too busy trying not to freeze? Her little committee power meant absolutely nothing now. She just didn't know it yet. I typed my last message with maximum casual energy. Relax, Grandma Lynn. It's freezing out there. You couldn't pay me to leave my apartment. Do whatever you want. Truthfully, my supplies were locked and loaded months ago. I didn't need to fight anyone over frozen cabbage at the supermarket. But the people who believed Grandma Lynn's "everything will be fine" speech, they were going to have a very rough couple of weeks. And then a rough couple of months. And then, well, let's just say Grandma Lynn's guarantee had an expiration date shorter than the milk in her fridge. I leaned back, popped another piece of steak into my mouth, and watched the group chat spiral into chaos. Everyone else's apocalypse was just beginning. Mine was a spectator sport. Boredom is a luxury, and I was drowning in it. While the rest of humanity was busy freezing and starving, I was sitting on my couch in pajamas, yawning, trying to figure out what to do with my endless free time. My apartment was a perfect temperature bubble. The insulation system was so good I could have grown tropical plants in there. Fuel supply? Infinite. Literally centuries worth. I could keep this place at a cozy room temperature until the sun burned out. TV was getting boring though. Most channels were either showing emergency broadcasts or going offline entirely. All the live streamers had disappeared too. Turns out even the most dedicated girl streamers won't dance in tank tops when it's -70 outside. If someone did, I'd have to give them a standing ovation and a survival medal. Time for Plan B, gaming. I opened my Pocket Dimension and browsed my electronics section like a kid in the world's biggest toy store. Hundreds of brand new shrink-wrapped consoles, PS5s, Switches, Xboxes, stacked like bricks. Game cartridges? Tens of thousands. I grabbed a fresh PS5, hooked it up to my 100-inch Sony TV, also liberated from the warehouse, thank you very much, and started playing Bayonetta 3. On standby I had Elden Ring, The Witcher 3, Sekiro, and if I really wanted to lose track of time, Civilization and Cities, Skylines. Games so long they could outlast the Ice Age itself. No job, no social obligations, no pretending to be nice to people. Just me, my giant TV, snacks, and an infinite game library. Honestly, the apocalypse was an upgrade. Then my phone ruined everything. Grandma Lynn, who else, was tagging me in the building group chat like I owed her money. Zhang Yi, the roads are buried in snow. Grab your tools and come outside to help shovel, not asking, not requesting, commanding. Like she was a 5-star general and I was a fresh recruit. She'd been trying to get people to come shovel snow, but basically nobody responded. So she specifically targeted me. Of course, I glanced out my bulletproof window. The snow was 3 meters deep. An entire floor of the building was buried. You'd need a bulldozer fleet, not a guy with a shovel. And I knew this snow wasn't stopping for another 3 months. Shoveling now was like trying to bail out the ocean with a teaspoon. No thanks. It's so cold out there I'd turn into a popsicle in 5 minutes. We can shovel after the snow stops. Other residents backed me up immediately. He's right, it's -70. We'd get frostbite instantly. We're in the South. We don't even own proper winter gear. Grandma Lynn went ballistic. What kind of attitude is this? The snow shoveling isn't for me, it's for everyone. You're young and strong. When disaster strikes, you should serve the people. Then she aimed her cannons directly at me. Zhang Yi, I am ordering you in the name of the building committee to go shovel snow. In times of crisis, we must unite under organizational leadership. Anyone who defies me is defying the committee. And when this blizzard is over, there will be consequences. She pulled out the committee card like it was a royal flush. And it worked, on everyone except me. The other residents went dead silent, too scared of her petty authority to say anything. But they were all privately hoping I'd keep fighting. They wanted me to be their voice while they hid behind their screens. Cowards. I knew exactly what these spineless ostriches were thinking, and I had zero respect for it. But staying quiet wasn't my style. Not anymore. I scrolled up through the chat and noticed something very interesting. Every single person Grandma Lin had tagged was a quiet, easygoing young person. The pushovers. The nice guys. The people who wouldn't fight back. Know who she didn't tag? Chun Jinghao on the 6th floor, a well-known local boss who runs construction projects with hundreds of guys working under him. Su Hao on the 8th floor, whose father is one of the biggest real estate developers in the city, with family members in government positions. Not a peep directed at either of them. Not one tag. Not one mention. Funny how that works. I went nuclear. Grandma Lin, you're absolutely right. Since this is for everyone, the committee should lead by example. Get out there first. And while we're at it, there are plenty of people in this building. Why did you only tag US? Didn't feel like asking Chen Jinghao? Too scared to bother Su Hao? When it comes to them, you suddenly forget how to type. The group chat erupted with silent approval. Zhang Yi is my hero. He said what we all wanted to say. Exactly. She only picks on the nice ones. Where's the energy for the tough guys? Everyone knew who those names were. Everyone knew Grandma Lin was a textbook bully. Tough on the weak, silent before the strong. I just ripped the mask right off her face in front of the whole building. She was mortified. And because she couldn't argue with the truth, she did what every petty authority figure does when cornered. She escalated with volume. She fired off a barrage of voice messages, each one longer and angrier than the last. Shoveling snow is public service. Some people care about nothing but themselves. Zero community spirit. People like this are a cancer on our building community. Fine. Don't do it. Plenty of people have better values than you. And I am not targeting anyone specifically. I just didn't need to tag everyone individually. Don't twist my words. If anyone keeps slandering me, I will call the police. Her excuses were so weak, they made the situation worse. Every sentence dug the hole deeper. And the grand finale, threatening to call the cops, made me laugh so hard I almost dropped my game controller. Call the police? In this? Ma'am, the police are currently buried under the same snow you want me to shovel. Their cars are frozen solid. Their stations are losing power. The entire machinery of society is grinding to a halt. And you think someone's going to dispatch an officer through a blizzard to arrest me for? Not shoveling. A few timid residents actually grabbed tools and went outside after hearing her threats. Those poor souls. But I stayed right where I was. Warm, fed, comfortable, and absolutely unshakable. Grandma Lin could threaten, shout, report, and rage all she wanted. Her committee authority had an expiration date, and it was coming up fast. In about a week, nobody would care about building committees, community rules, or her precious little power trip. I unpaused my game, stuffed another handful of chips in my mouth, and went back to slaying demons on my 100-inch TV. The apocalypse waits for no one, Grandma Lin. But it especially doesn't wait for people who think they're in charge. I had nothing better to do, so I decided to poke the bear. Well, poke the grandma. Hey, Grandma Lin, if you're so tough, why don't you go tell Chen Jinghao and Su how to shovel snow? Go on. I'll wait. I tagged them by name. No filter, no diplomacy, zero regard for anyone's feelings. Chen Jinghao, street name, Brother Hao, local thug boss with hundreds of guys working under him. In my previous life, he was the one who led the charge into my apartment swinging an axe. Su Hao, spoiled rich kid whose daddy owns half the city's real estate. He was the first person to pull a knife on me in my last life. Every single one of these neighbors, with very few exceptions, either attacked me, robbed me, or happily divided up my stuff after I was dead. So I had absolutely no problem dragging their names into the spotlight and making things uncomfortable for everyone. Grandma Lin's face must have gone through 50 shades of panic. I'd backed her into a corner. If she didn't tag them now, she'd look like the coward she was. So she reluctantly sent a message tagging both of them. softening her tone to baby-level sweetness. Dear community family, our neighborhood is everyone's home. Let's all grab tools and clear the snow together. Family. She actually called them family. This woman went from barking military orders at me to writing Hallmark cards for the tough guys. Chen Jinghao responded within minutes. A series of question marks, followed by a voice message that made my day. Shovel snow? Shovel, you're at $%. Are you blind? Can't you see it's still coming down? Are you mentally ill? Go see a doctor. Tag me one more time, and I will yindy you. The entire group chat lost it. People were laughing so hard, they probably forgot they were freezing. Grandma Lin's big authoritative moment just got demolished by a gangster who treated her like a yapping chihuahua. Then rich boy Su Hao chimed in with his own voice message, dripping with entitled arrogance. Your snow problem is none of my business. I don't need to work. I could sleep in bed all day and be fine. He even sent a photo, himself buried in a thick comforter with a woman cuddled up next to him. Turns out this apartment was just a place he kept for his girlfriend. He was only stuck here by coincidence. Asking him to shovel snow was like asking a cat to do your taxes. Grandma Lin tried one last feeble shot at Su Hao. You're still a resident. Shoveling is your obligation. Su Hao obliterated her. I pay property fees every month. Without my money, you committee people would starve. You take our cash and act like you own the place. Pathetic. Then he twisted the knife. I got where I am through my family's power. You think I'm the same as you broke losers? Hurry up and shovel so I can eventually leave this dump. Everyone was furious, but dead silent. Couldn't argue. Couldn't fight back. Life isn't fair, and Su Hao was living proof. After that double beatdown, Grandma Lin's authority completely evaporated. Nobody was listening to her anymore. She was done. But did she blame the two guys who humiliated her? Of course not. She blamed me. Because I was the one who forced her to tag them in the first place. She sent me a private message, seething with rage. Zhang Yi, are you trying to sabotage me? I had everyone convinced, and you ruined it. Now nobody wants to help. Are you happy? Oh, a personal delivery of anger? Right to my inbox? How thoughtful. I typed back with absolute zero chill. Stop playing dumb, you old fraud. You're a bully who only picks on quiet people and hides from anyone with actual power. You got screamed at by those two and didn't say a word back. But now you come crying to me? Looking for someone safe to yell at? Listen up. I am not the one. Come at me again and see what happens. That shut her up instantly. She's just an old woman living with her grandson, riding her tiny committee title like it's a throne. When someone actually pushes back hard, she crumbles like a wet cookie. She blocked me immediately, probably sitting there shaking, from the cold or from fear, hard to tell. I could practically hear her muttering to herself, just wait. When this is over, I'll use my committee power to make his life miserable. I'll delay his supply rations. I'll exclude him from community events. He'll come crawling to me. She was actually fantasizing about a future where community committees still matter, where rations get distributed fairly, where she still has any authority whatsoever. That fantasy had about a 2-week shelf life, max. The beautiful irony? She was planning revenge using a system that was about to stop existing entirely. It's like threatening to give someone a bad Yelp review during a nuclear war. She went back to the group chat and kept trying to recruit snow shovelers. Some of the more obedient residents actually went outside with tools, braving -70-degree temperatures because they were too scared of her committee threats. Those poor, naive, frostbite-bound souls. I barely had time to enjoy my victory when my phone rang again. The caller ID showed Chen Jinghao. Apparently, Mr. Tough Guy didn't appreciate me using his name in the group chat to embarrass Grandma Lin. Now he was calling to intimidate me. The local gangster was knocking on the digital door of the guy who lives inside an 8 million yuan steel fortress with guns, crossbows, and enough supplies to outlast a continent. My eyes narrowed. Not from fear, from anticipation. In my previous life, this man led the attack on my home with an axe. He was at the top of my revenge list. And now he was voluntarily making contact. I wasn't going to leave my safe house. No need. But if this idiot wanted to come to me? Oh, I had plenty of ways to make that visit his last. I picked up the phone with a smile. The second I picked up, a tsunami of profanity crashed through my phone speaker. You think you can disrespect me? You mentioned my name in that group chat. I'll make sure you can't live in this city anymore. I have 100 ways to destroy you. Chen Jinghao. Local tough guy. Hundreds of goons under his command. Supposedly caught a few murder cases in his past. Everyone in the neighborhood walks on eggshells around him. His whole brand is, disrespect me even slightly, and I will ruin your entire existence. The man treats every minor social interaction like a gang war. All because I mentioned his name in a group chat. One time. To prove a point about Grandma Lynn being a hypocrite. And now he's calling me like I spray-painted his car. Did I back down? Did I apologize? Did I grovel? I laughed in his ear and called him a worthless piece of garbage. Who do you think you are? Stop acting tough with me, you pathetic waste of space. You're nothing. Go eat dirt. The silence on the other end lasted about 1.5 glorious seconds before he absolutely exploded. But I was already on a roll, pouring out insults I'd been storing up since my previous life, when this exact man led the charge into my apartment with an AXE. All you can do is bark through a phone. You're useless. Scary? You? Go find a toilet to yell into. It'll care more than I do. Click. Hung up. Blocked his number. The mental image of Chun Jinghao staring at his phone, mouth open, veins bulging, absolutely losing his mind because someone just hung up on him mid-rage. That image was better than any video game. Speaking of which, I strolled over to my surveillance system and switched on the cameras. 300 eyes watching every floor of this building. My very own reality TV show, Angry Neighbors on Ice. Camera 6, 6th floor. Sure enough, Chen Jinghao's door burst open like it was kicked by a bull. Out he came, puffy jacket, baseball bat in hand, murder on his face. He'd left his jacket unzipped to show off his chest tattoos, because apparently looking intimidating is more important than not dying of hypothermia. One step into the hallway and the negative 70-degree air slapped him across every exposed tattoo. He flinched so hard, he almost dropped his bat. When he realized nobody was watching, he frantically rubbed his hands together and scurried into the elevator like a very angry, very cold cockroach. I watched him rising floor by floor on my monitor. 22nd floor, 23rd, 24th, coming right to me. I calmly reached under my coffee table and pulled out my hunting crossbow. This particular model is designed for wild boar. A 300-pound pig takes a bolt from this thing and gets a 20-centimeter arrow buried deep in its body. A human leg? Piece of cake. I hummed a little tune while loading the bolt. Practice had made me pretty sharp. Within 15 meters, I could reliably hit a watermelon-sized target. And a human head is roughly watermelon-sized. Just saying. My fortress door had a special feature I hadn't mentioned yet. A shooting port 2 meters up, only openable from inside. I grabbed a chair, climbed up, flipped the port open, and aimed my crossbow down the hallway. Handgun in my pocket too, just in case Mr. Tough Guy turned out to be bulletproof. Spoiler, he wasn't. The elevator dinged. Out stomped Chen Jinghao, bat swinging, mouth running at full volume. Zhang Yi, get out here, you coward. He started hammering on my door with the baseball bat, smashing it over and over, screaming obscenities that would make a sailor blush. What he didn't realize was that this door was 20 centimeters of bulletproof military-grade alloy. He might as well have been hitting a mountain with a toothpick. The bat bounced back so hard it probably stung his hands. Meanwhile, I could hear a faint tink-tink-tink on my side, like someone politely knocking with a pencil. He was so busy screaming and swinging that he never noticed the tiny opening above him, never noticed the crossbow barrel pointing at his body, never noticed me grinning behind the sights. I aimed at his head first. One shot, and it's over. Quick, clean, permanent. But then I paused. In the apocalypse, everyone in this building was going to die eventually. Chen Jinghao included. If I killed him now, it'd be instant. Painless. Merciful. And this man who led the mob into my home, who swung an axe at me, who helped tear me apart, did not deserve mercy. I adjusted my aim downward. Thwip. The bolt punched clean through his lower leg. In and out the other side. Complete penetration. Chen Jinghao let out a scream so loud it probably echoed through every floor. He collapsed on the ground, clutching his leg, howling like a wounded animal. Blood poured out and immediately started freezing in the negative 70-degree air, turning his pant leg into a red popsicle. At this temperature, with that kind of wound, no hospital access, and no medicine, that leg was done. Infection was guaranteed. The cold would make everything worse. He'd spend his remaining days in agony, limping, bleeding, freezing, slowly deteriorating. Could I have killed him? Easily. Did I want him to die quickly? Absolutely not. For half a second, the realization hit him. He wasn't dealing with some quiet neighbor he could bully. He'd walked up to the door of someone who shoots first and doesn't bother with questions. His entire tough guy philosophy, act crazy enough and normal people won't fight back, had just met someone who was crazier and better armed. Credit where it's due, the man was tough. Even with a bolt through his leg, he dragged himself back to the elevator on pure adrenaline and survival instinct. Blood trail all the way, frozen to the floor almost instantly. I watched on my monitor as the elevator doors closed. His sweat was already freezing on his forehead. His leg looked like a horror movie prop. I could have fired again. Easy shot. But why? Let him live a while longer. Let him experience the full apocalypse with one working leg, no medicine, and the memory of the day he tried to bully the wrong guy. I'm not a monster. I just believe in proportional karma. I closed the shooting port, set down the crossbow, and went back to my game. The score was now Zhang Yi 1, Neighborhood Bullies 0. And the tournament was just getting started. Chen Jinghao crawled back to his apartment like a wounded animal and tried calling 120, the emergency number. Busy, busy, busy. 2 minutes of dialing and nothing. Hospitals were shutting down. Ambulances couldn't drive through 10 feet of snow. The entire medical system had basically said, good luck, everybody, and closed for business. Gotta give the man credit though. He was tough enough to perform surgery on himself. Pulled out a knife, an alcohol lamp, bandages, and some blood-stopping medicine from his drawer. Apparently, when you're a career thug, your first aid kit stays fully stocked. He cut open his frozen pant leg, saw the damage, and nearly fainted. The wound was frozen solid. The skin around it had turned purple, and his lower leg was completely numb. He somehow extracted the bolt and cauterized the wound without passing out, barely. But the leg was done. Cooked. Finished. He was now a one-legged gangster lying on his sofa, panting like a dying fish, swearing revenge. He posted in the building group chat, Zhang Wei, I'm going to kill you. If I don't, I'll write my name backwards for the rest of my life. The neighbors had no idea what actually happened. They just saw two guys threatening each other and thought, well, Zhang Yi is dead. Grandma Lin was practically doing a happy dance. Let them destroy each other. Serves. Zhang Yi right for talking back to me. Fang Yuqing also hoped I'd get beaten up, because how dare I not deliver steak to her freezing apartment on command. What a wonderful support network I have. I saw his threat and burst out laughing. Then I sent a voice message to the group that made everyone's jaw drop. You're nothing. All you can do is bark. Come at me again, and I'll take out your other leg too. The chat went dead silent. People started connecting the dots. Wait, did Zhang Yi actually cripple Chen Jinghao? The neighborhood tough guy? The man with hundreds of goons? Chen Jinghao was squeezing his phone so hard the screen was about to crack. He made calls. He rallied the troops. Within the hour, over a dozen of his boys showed up at his apartment carrying machetes, steel pipes, baseball bats, the full gangster starter kit. They saw his mangled leg and went absolutely feral. Who did this? We'll chop him up, Chen Jinghao, ever the dramatic leader, announced. Room 2401. One guy? Lives alone. Has a crossbow. That's how he got me. Don't let him shoot you. Break down the door and drag him out. One genius with a steel pipe yelled. A crossbow? That's so dishonorable. No martial ethics at all. Martial ethics. The man holding a steel pipe to go jump someone 12-on-1 was worried about martial ethics. Off they went. A dozen thugs marching up to my floor with weapons, wooden boards as shields, and enough testosterone to power a small generator. Meanwhile, I was sitting on my couch playing my new video game on split screen. One half showed the game. The other half showed my 300 surveillance cameras tracking every single one of them in real time. I watched them ride the elevator, creep down the hallway, huddle behind their little wooden planks like medieval soldiers who'd lost their armor budget. My table was covered in weapons. Crossbow loaded. Backup crossbow ready. Handgun in pocket. I was a one-man army behind 20 centimeters of aerospace alloy, and they were bringing baseball bats to a fortress siege. They reached my door, and the comedy show began. Open up, you shot our boss. Today's your death day. Next year on this date, we'll burn paper money for your ghost. Then they started hammering my door. Sledgehammers, steel pipes, everything they had, swinging with full force. Tink, tink, tink. 20 centimeters of military-grade alloy doesn't care about your feelings, your hammers, or your threats. They could have been attacking it with pool noodles for all the difference it made. After several minutes of maximum effort, the door had a few tiny white marks where the paint chipped. Not a scratch, not a dent, not even a whisper of structural compromise. What the? This door is solid metal. How thick is this thing? How many enemies does this guy have? Good question. The answer is, all of you. But they couldn't go back empty-handed. They'd promised Chen Jinghao a badly beaten Zhang Yi. So they just kept smashing and screaming like the world's most useless construction crew. Here's the thing, though. I was trying to beat a boss fight. First boss had died 7 or 8 times already. My mood was not great, and their constant yelling was not helping my concentration. I shouted through the door, "Can you hit harder? Did you skip breakfast?" That made them angr, which made them louder, which made my gaming experience worse. My character died again. That was the last straw. Time to end this nonsense. I went to the kitchen, grabbed a long hose, attached it to the faucet, climbed up to the shooting port, and opened the little window above my door. The geniuses below were so busy screaming insults and beating on indestructible metal that not a single one looked up. I turned on the faucet. A massive blast of water erupted from above, raining down on them like a biblical flood in a cramped hallway. Ice-cold water, absolutely drenching a dozen grown men who were already struggling with -70-degree temperatures. In case the math isn't clear, wet clothes plus -70 degrees equals the worst ice bucket challenge in human history. These guys weren't just getting sprayed. They were getting a fast-track ticket to hypothermia, frostbite, and a very bad afternoon. I kept spraying. Revenge is a dish best served cold. And at -70, everything is served cold. Can you imagine what -70-degree water feels like on your skin? Neither could those guys, until about 3 seconds ago. The water came out of my faucet warm and steaming because my apartment was a cozy 100 degrees warmer than the hallway. But the second it hit those thugs, physics took over. We're talking instant ice bath. Full-body frozen margarita. Human popsicle speedrun. It's so cold. Stop. Stop spraying. They would have literally preferred a beating. Every single one of them. A nice, warm punch to the face sounded delightful compared to being waterboarded with liquid Antarctica. Their lips turned purple. Some of them passed out on the spot from the temperature shock, just dropped like sacks of frozen potatoes. The one still conscious bolted from my doorway in a blind panic, but it was already too late. 10 seconds of water plus -70 degrees equals clothes frozen solid. They couldn't even make it to the elevator before their jackets turned into wearable icebergs. I shut off the faucet once they'd all scattered. Honestly, I'd originally planned to use the crossbow, but the water was way more efficient. Crossbow bolts need reloading one at a time. A garden hose? Unlimited ammunition, 360 coverage, 0 reloading. Modern problems require medieval solutions, or in this case, plumbing solutions. The surveillance cameras gave me a beautiful view of the aftermath. A dozen frozen, dripping gangsters stumbled back to Chen Jinghao's apartment looking like they'd lost a fight with a car wash. Chen Jinghao saw them and erupted. "Where's Zhang Yi? Did you get him?" His boys were too busy fighting each other over blankets and dry clothes to answer. 12 soaking wet men, one apartment, not enough bedding. Several of them stripped naked and started hugging each other for body heat. The camera footage of that was something I wish I could unsee. Finally, someone managed to stop shivering long enough to explain. His door is impossible to break. We hammered it for ages and only chipped some paint, and then he hosed us from above. With water. We almost died. Chen Jinghao's face went through anger, confusion, more anger, and then settled on calculating evil. Fine. His house is a steel turtle. But he can't stay inside forever. Post guys nearby. The second he steps outside, kill him. His shivering thugs nodded and tried to look fierce, which is difficult when you're purple-lipped, half-naked, and sharing a blanket with another grown man. What they didn't know, what they couldn't know, is that I had absolutely 0 plans to ever leave my apartment. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month. Outside was hell. Inside was paradise. Who voluntarily walks out of paradise into hell? Nobody with a functioning brain, that's who. After the entertainment wrapped up, I went back to my game. Those idiots couldn't get through my door with hammers, so they definitely couldn't get through it with patience. Let them sit in the cold hallway waiting for me to come out. They'd freeze to death before I ran out of snack food. Later, I wandered over to my window to check the scenery. Down below, some residents had actually gone outside to shovel snow. I spotted Uncle Yu. Of course he was out there, the stubborn, kind-hearted old soldier. Always first to volunteer. A handful of nice young people from the building were with him. Grandma Lin and her committee crew, nowhere to be seen. Shocking. The woman who ordered everyone to shovel was apparently too important to touch a shovel herself. They worked for hours against 3 meters of packed snow, trying to dig a path to the front gate. Even if they succeeded, then what? The entire city was buried. Roads were gone. Only industrial snow-clearing machines could handle this mess. And this was the South. Those machines didn't exist here. They were shoveling their way to nowhere. After half an hour in that cold, frostbite would start. Their gear wasn't designed for this. Their bodies weren't designed for this. Nothing about this situation was designed for humans. I shook my head. Those obedient, kind-hearted people were truly pitiful. But it was their choice. Nothing I could do about other people's decisions anymore. My only job now was keeping myself alive and comfortable. Lunch hit around afternoon. I reached into my pocket dimension and pulled out a casual little meal. 1 whole Australian lobster, 1 beef Wellington, 2 Huangshan baked pastries, and a Coke. Nothing fancy, just a normal Tuesday. My new lifestyle had officially settled in. Sleep when tired, eat when hungry. Ignore the concept of day and night entirely. Why track time when you have nowhere to be and nothing to do except not die? I glanced out the window again. The snow shovelers had given up and gone back inside. The small patch they'd cleared was already buried under fresh snow. Hours of back-breaking work erased in minutes. I think they finally understood. Human effort against nature's fury is like a hamster fighting a hurricane. I stretched out on my sofa in a light shirt, room temperature a pleasant 27 degrees, and flipped through TV channels. Most stations across the country had gone dark. Only a few provincial channels and the national broadcaster were still transmitting. The anchors were doing their best with the material they had. Our leaders in the capital are coordinating the final offensive against the snow disaster. Reports indicate that. The United States has suffered over 200 million affected citizens and tens of millions of deaths due to poor disaster response. Our country's situation remains under control. Everything is improving. Please remain calm. Trust the authorities. Do not panic. Under control. Improving. I took a sip of my Coke and shook my head. The scale of what was happening out there was beyond anything governments could handle. They were trying. I'll give them that. But humans versus a planet-wide ice age is not a fair fight. Not even close. I changed the channel to something less depressing and took a bite of my beef Wellington. Outside, civilization crumbling under an endless blizzard. Inside, lobster, pastries, video games, and 27 degrees of pure comfort. The apocalypse was the best thing that ever happened to my work-life balance. Meanwhile, in the group chat, Grandma Lin was still going. Like a broken alarm clock that nobody can reach to turn off. Everyone saw the news, right? Our country is strong. This blizzard is nothing. Don't worry. Everything will work itself out. Oh, and if anyone's running low on supplies, just share with each other. No need to hoard. This will all be over soon. The replies were basically crickets. 2 days of non-stop blizzard with zero signs of stopping had finally started cracking people's optimism. Turns out reality is a better teacher than Grandma Lin. Then my phone buzzed. Fang Yuqing again. Zhang Yi, are you okay? She probably assumed Qin Jinghao had turned me into ground beef by now. But concern for my safety? Please. This woman had an agenda like she had designer handbags. Always. I'm fine. Oh, good. I could taste the disappointment through the screen. Then came the real reason for the message. So, we're out of food at my place. I remember you bought a lot of stuff. Could you maybe spare a little? I'll treat you to dinner later. She hit me with the cute emoji. The nuclear weapon of manipulative texting. In her mind, one sparkly emoticon from a pretty girl should be worth at least 10 cans of food. I smirked. She and Lin Canning had actually bought some supplies that day at the supermarket too. There's no way they'd gone through everything in just 2 days. She was fishing, trying to upgrade from instant noodles to my premium stockpile. Well, that was ages ago. I didn't keep much at home. I'm barely getting by myself. She pushed harder. Not even a few packs of instant noodles? Come on, you manage a warehouse. How can you not have food? Time for the kill shot. Noodles? Nah, I'm all out. I've been reduced to eating. I snapped a photo of my lunch table, the Australian lobster and beef Wellington still sitting there looking like a magazine cover, and hit send. On the other end of that message, Fang Yuqing's eyebrows probably flew off her face. Zhang Yi, are you doing this on purpose? Are you trying to make me angry? Her roommate Lin Caning poked her head out from under the covers, because yes, they were sharing a bed to stay warm. One look at my food photo, and her eyes turned greener than a traffic light. These two, little fairies, had never cooked a meal in their lives. Their entire food strategy consisted of ordering delivery or getting men to pay for dinner. With the city frozen solid, they'd been surviving on instant noodles and canned food, basically their version of prison rations. Lin Caning immediately started stirring the pot. Can you believe him? Eating lobster and steak while you're starving. And he claims to like you. What a fraud. Fang Yuqing was fuming. She knew I was deliberately taunting her. But somehow, in her magical world of self-delusion, she'd convinced herself that I was using food to make her surrender and become my girlfriend. Pathetic. He thinks a little bit of food is enough to win me over? Zhang Yi, you are so naive. Out loud, contempt. Inside, desperately staring at that lobster photo. Lin Caning, the master strategist, proposed a plan. Why don't you tell Zhang Yi you'll agree to have dinner with him? But he has to provide the food. That way you keep your pride and get lobster. He'll be so excited he'll say yes immediately. Fang Yuqing thought it over. In normal times, she'd never stoop this low. Zhang Yi was a backup option at best. Handsome, decent finances, but miles away from the ultra-rich Prince Charming she believed she deserved. Lowering herself? Unthinkable. But she'd been eating instant noodles for 2 days. Fine. I'll give him the honor of dining with me. She typed her message with all the grace of a queen bestowing a knighthood on a peasant. Zhang Yi, it's been so long since we hung out. Why don't you come over tonight, and we'll have dinner together? Translation, bring your lobster and steak to my apartment and feed me while I pretend I'm doing you a favor. I read the message and grinned. Then typed back the most beautiful sentence of my entire reborn life. You're inviting me to dinner? Awesome. Thanks so much. What are you cooking? Silence. Across the building, Fang Yuqing's face went white. Could have been rage. Could have been the cold. Probably both. This ungrateful. I gave him the chance to treat me to dinner, and he wants me to cook. She threw her phone onto the mattress. That's it. I was going to keep him as a backup, but now he's getting demoted. He's moved to the bottom of the list. I am done talking to him. When he comes crawling back begging for forgiveness, I won't even look at him. Lin Caning nodded vigorously. Exactly. What kind of cheapskate acts like this? He deserves to be single forever. The two of them bonded over trash-talking me for a solid 20 minutes. Every few seconds, Fang Yuqing would check her phone, sure that I'd send an apology. A groveling text. Hey, please forgive me. I'll bring the lobster right away. Nothing. Not a word. My phone was on the coffee table while I played video games. Then Lin Caning, sneaky, scheming Lin Caning, pulled out her phone and started typing a message to me behind Fang Yuqing's back. Zhang Yi, you're so dumb. Yuqing is upset now. Do you even understand how serious this is? Classic move. The duo's signature play. Fang Yuqing acts like the innocent angel too proud to beg, and Lin Caning swoops in as the concerned friend to guilt-trip the target into compliance. Good cop, manipulative cop. They'd been running this routine on guys for years. I glanced at her message and laughed out loud. One plays the good cop, one plays the bad cop, right? You two really never run out of tricks. I'd seen through their little performance like it was made of glass. Fang Yuqing maintains her pure goddess image while Lin Caning does the dirty work, asking for gifts, hinting at spending money, pressuring guys to bend over backwards. A perfectly choreographed scam operation. Except the target audience had changed. Old Zhang Yi would have panicked and rushed over with a cooler full of gourmet food. New Zhang Yi sent that message, put his phone down, and went back to his boss fight. Lobster status, eaten. Concern status, 0. Simp license, permanently revoked. I played dumb with Lin Caning. What did I do wrong? I don't understand. She went full saleswoman mode. Are you stupid? We're snowed in. We have no food. This is your golden opportunity. Bring your steak and lobster over here. Show Yuqing your devotion, and she might actually give you a chance. If I were you, I'd deliver every good thing in my kitchen to our door. One romantic gesture, and boom. You're in. I stared at my phone, imagining this woman literally drooling while typing. The audacity was almost impressive. She was begging for food, but dressed it up like SHE was doing me the favor. As if me handing over premium lobster and steak was actually a privilege I should be grateful for. Like a homeless person telling you, I'll allow you to give me your wallet. I decided to have some fun. But I barely have enough for myself. Lin Canning went into lecture mode. You fool. The blizzard will last, what, a few days? Skip 2 meals, win Yuqing's heart. That's the deal of a lifetime. If you can't even sacrifice this much, you clearly don't really love her. I was laughing so hard my ribs hurt. These two had their manipulation playbook down to a science. One plays the untouchable goddess, the other plays the pushy wingwoman. They'd been running this con on men like a professional tag team. Too bad their current target had already died once because of their tricks. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice. Not happening because I literally came back from the dead to avoid it. I typed back one single character. Oh, just, oh, the most devastating syllable in any language. Lin Canning lost it. Oh, what does OH mean? I just gave you a whole speech and that's your response. Bring me the food. I want steak and lobster too. The mask came completely off. She forgot she was supposed to be advocating for Fang Yuqing and just started demanding food for herself. Hunger is the ultimate truth serum. She sat there staring at her phone, probably questioning reality. Was it possible that Zhang Yi, the man who chased Fang Yuqing for 2.5 years, had simply stopped caring? No. He must be having a temporary brain malfunction. He'll come back. They always come back. She stomped over to Fang Yuqing and gave her a dramatic retelling of our conversation, naturally painting herself as the heroic friend who tried so hard to get food for them. Fang Yuqing put on her coldest, most regal expression. Zhang Yi? Who is that? I don't know anyone by that name. Never mention him to me again. In her mind, I now needed to grovel, apologize profusely, and spend a fortune to earn back the privilege of being her backup boyfriend. The delusion was world-class. Then Lin Canning dropped the tactical suggestion. Forget Zhang Yi. Don't you have other simps? Of course she did. Every professional gold digger maintains a diversified portfolio. Enter Zhou Peng, the ultra-loyal puppy dog who also worked at the Walmart warehouse. The guy who blew his monthly salary on concert tickets she rejected. In Fang Yuqing's ranking system, Zhou Peng didn't even qualify as a backup. He was below backup. He was the backup's emergency contact. The man didn't even own an apartment, still renting. But desperate times call for desperate simps. Fang Yuqing sent Zhou Peng one message. 1. And within 5 minutes, this man appeared at her door carrying a backpack full of food. 5 minutes. He must have been sitting fully dressed with a packed bag, just waiting for her to text. Like a rescue dog that heard the whistle. Working at the Walmart warehouse meant he'd brought home discounted goods over the years, so he actually had decent supplies. And he brought the good stuff. Picked it out specially. Probably arranged it nicely in the bag too. Yuqing, whatever you need, just say the word. I'd do anything for you. Fang Yuqing rewarded him with a smile. Probably the first one she'd given him in months. Thank you, Zhou Peng. You're so sweet. A few sugary words, and he floated away on a cloud of false hope. The second the door closed behind him, her face snapped back to Ice Queen mode. As if someone like you could ever be with me. Dream on. Next life maybe. Poetry. Pure poetry. Meanwhile, the building was starting to crack. Even with air conditioning maxed out, apartments were dropping below zero. Southern people had zero experience with this kind of cold. Nobody had stockpiled anything because Grandma Lin told them not to. Refrigerators were going empty after just 2 days. Grandma Lin was still chirping in the group chat about how everything was fine. But fewer and fewer people were responding. Reality was winning the argument. Me? I was having the time of my life. Gaming on my 100-inch TV. Working out with professional gym equipment from the warehouse. Reading survival manuals, Barefoot Doctor's Handbook, and Militia Training Manual, because you never know when amateur surgery skills might come in handy. Chen Zhenghao and his crew had gone quiet. My little water party had left most of his guys sick with fevers and colds. No heating, no medicine, soaking wet clothes in -70. They were probably going to die from illness before starvation even became an issue. Chen Jinghao himself was stuck with a ruined leg and no hospital within walking distance. Or limping distance. Outside, the snow never stopped. Day and night blurred together under thick, gray clouds. The world was becoming one endless white void. On the morning of day 3, I rolled out of bed, grabbed a beautifully roasted Bianyafang duck, one of Beijing's finest, and checked the clock while taking a big, satisfying bite. It's almost time. The real show is about to start, and right on cue, my phone exploded. The group chat went absolutely nuclear. Day 3, the main event. The moment I'd been staying up all night waiting for like a kid on Christmas, except instead of presents, everyone else was about to get the worst gift imaginable. The power went out. Every single apartment in the complex went dark. Then, like dominoes falling in slow motion, the water stopped too. No electricity meant the water treatment plants couldn't function, which meant every faucet in every home just died. I knew this was coming down to the hour. The math was simple. Hydroelectric plants freeze when rivers freeze. Coal power plants shut down when workers can't get to work. After 3 days of burning through stored energy reserves, the grid was done. Toast. Game over. Somewhere out there, a handful of nuclear power plants were still humming, but what they produced was going straight to government facilities. Regular citizens? You're on your own now. Good luck with that. Me? I'd already fired up 2 silent generators before the blackout even happened. My lights never flickered. My heater never skipped a beat. My 100-inch TV didn't even buffer. While the entire neighborhood plunged into frozen darkness, my apartment was basically a lighthouse of comfort floating in an ocean of misery. I opened my phone. Every group chat showed 99 unread messages. The digital panic had officially begun. Does anyone have power? We lost electricity and water. What's happening? No AC, no heater, no water. It's -30 inside my apartment. We're going to freeze to death. Where's the government? Why isn't anyone helping US? I shook my head quietly. The government wasn't coming. Not for them. Not for most people. When the entire planet is buried in snow and 95% of humanity is doomed, rescue operations become extremely selective. Today was the day the apocalypse stopped being an inconvenience and became a death sentence. Without electricity and water, mass casualties were inevitable. I glanced around my glowing, heated apartment. Fireplace crackling. Generators purring. Pocket dimension stuffed with enough supplies to open my own Costco. My heart rate was completely normal. The building group chat was a masterpiece of escalating terror. My apartment is -35. Even under 3 blankets, I'm shaking. We have no food left. Can't go outside. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to drink snow. Then people started tagging Grandma Lynn. Hey, Grandma Lynn, didn't you say everything was fine? I listened to you and didn't stock up. Now what? When is someone coming to save us? Answer US. Oh, this was getting good. Now here's where things got really interesting. Grandma Lynn was panicking harder than everyone else, because through her committee connections, she'd gotten the real news. The internal messages from her committee group told the actual story. This is a once-in-hundreds of thousands of years extinction event. The government can't possibly help everyone. Major cities have already fallen. We need to start collecting supplies from residents. Use the committee's authority. But isn't that basically stealing from people? If we don't, we'll be dead in 3 days. It's us or them. The committee members were planning to go door to door, using their official status to confiscate supplies from regular people. The woman who told everyone not to stockpile was now planning to take what little they had left. I knew this trick from my previous life. She'd pulled exactly this scam before, using her position to guilt and threaten people into handing over their food. Classic predator behavior wrapped in a community leader costume. Grandma Lynn looked at her shivering grandson Little Tiger under their pile of blankets. Grandma, why is it so cold? When are Mommy and Daddy coming home? Her son and daughter-in-law were stuck in another city, trapped in their own rental apartment, barely surviving themselves. Nobody was coming. Something hardened behind her eyes. Survival mode activated. Morality deactivated. She jumped into the building group chat with her biggest, most authoritative announcement yet. Everyone, the power outage is temporary. Repair crews are working on it as we speak. Lie. The government has issued an order. The building committee will now assume management of all residents during this emergency. Bigger lie. Everyone must cooperate with our directives. Anyone who refuses will be reported to the police for arrest and prosecution after the emergency ends. The biggest lie. She was literally making up government orders to scare people into obeying her, so she could steal their food. In negative 30-degree apartments with no power and no water, she was playing politics. Incredible. The residents were angry but terrified. Nobody dared push back. Committee authority still carried weight, for now. I read her messages while eating roast duck and almost choked from laughing. I knew every word was a lie. I'd watched her pull this exact routine in my previous life. But did I expose her? Nah. Why would I? These neighbors' survival wasn't my responsibility. Most of them would have happily killed me for a can of beans in a few weeks anyway. Let Grandma Lynn play her little power games. Let the neighbors believe her fairy tales. None of it touched me behind my 20 centimeters of aerospace alloy. Power outage. I had generators, batteries, and enough fuel to run a small town for 3 centuries. Water shortage. 500 tons of stored tap water plus tens of thousands of tons of bottled water and drinks in my pocket dimension. I turned on my PS5, picked up my controller, and loaded my save file. The rest of the world had just entered survival mode. I had just entered level 2 of my game. Different priorities. Life was beautiful. Gaming, imported snacks, 27 degrees of pure warmth. I was living in a bubble of perfection while the entire planet froze. The only thing missing was a woman, but after getting murdered because of one in my last life, that particular need was firmly at the bottom of my priority list. I once watched a woman kill her own husband with a blunt object over a single pack of instant noodles. Romance in the apocalypse? Hard pass. Outside my fortress, the situation had gone from bad to catastrophic. The entire city, honestly, 99% of the world, had lost power and water. Getting water was technically possible if you wanted to risk going outside in negative 60 to dig up snow. But electricity? Gone. Done. No substitute. Modern humans are soft creatures. We need our heaters, our air conditioning, our electric blankets. Take all that away and drop the temperature to negative several dozen degrees. People start dying. Fast. The government was trying. They'd eventually restore a tiny trickle of power from nuclear plants and renewable stations. Enough to charge a phone or boil some water for brief windows. But running an air conditioner or space heater? Forget it. Those days were over permanently. Shen Jinghao was having a particularly bad time. One ruined leg, no hospital, no medicine, and an apartment that was rapidly approaching the same temperature as the outside, negative 50, 60 degrees. His little gang of thugs? Even worse. My water hosing stunt had left most of them soaking wet and killing cold with zero way to dry off or warm up. Several had fevers hitting 39, 40 degrees. None of them had thought to keep basic medicine like ibuprofen at home. Going outside to buy some was suicide. Their only option was to tough it out. This was exactly why I didn't kill them on the spot. A quick death would have been mercy. Watching them slowly freeze and burn with fever, day after agonizing day, with absolutely no hope of rescue, that was the appropriate punishment for people who'd hacked me to pieces in my previous life. I sat cross-legged on my carpet, controller in hand, completely absorbed in my game. Outside, Arctic nightmare. Inside, warm lighting, stocked kitchen, endless entertainment. If there was a downside to my situation, I genuinely couldn't find it. Then Grandma Lynn dropped her biggest bombshell yet. She tagged everyone in the building group chat with an announcement so bold it almost deserved applause. Due to the extreme conditions, and by order of the government, the building committee will now be collecting supplies from every household for unified redistribution. This is an official directive. Every family must comply. Anyone who selfishly refuses to cooperate will be dealt with by the authorities after the emergency. Don't think you're above the organization. Remember, everyone has weaknesses. That last line was basically a threat. Hand over your food, or we'll find a way to hurt you. Real classy, Grandma. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my controller. Same trick as my previous life. Identical playbook. She'd gotten insider information through the committee that the government had basically collapsed locally. She knew nobody was coming. She knew there was no official directive. She was fabricating government orders to terrorize people into surrendering their food so SHE and her grandson could survive longer. The scheme wasn't even sophisticated. Any smart person could see through it. Since when does the government tell a neighborhood grandma to personally confiscate private citizens' food? But in a building with 50-plus households, there were always going to be some scared, gullible people who'd comply. And every bag of rice she conned out of someone was another few days of life for her. The chat immediately split into two camps. Wang Min, a co-worker of mine on the 15th floor, a sensible, frugal housewife, pushed back. We can barely feed ourselves. You want to take our food and redistribute it? How is that fair? Another resident, Sun Jichao, joined in. Everyone's struggling. Confiscating what little we have is going too far. Grandma Lin hammered back with her classic weapon, fear wrapped in fake authority. These are extraordinary times. Extraordinary measures are required. The blizzard will pass soon. We're just reshuffling supplies temporarily. Some families have nothing. Are you really going to be that selfish? And right on cue, the families with empty fridges rallied behind her. She's right. We're neighbors. Help each other out. It's just food. Normally, we can all afford it. Just share for now. This is an organizational decision. You want to go against the organization? Two factions screaming at each other in a group chat while the temperature dropped toward unsurvivable levels. Peak humanity. Fong Yuqing and Lin Caning? Silent. Their apartment actually had decent supplies. Zhou Peng the simp had made sure of that. But share? With peasants? Over their stylishly frozen dead bodies. I stayed quiet too. Not my circus, not my frozen monkeys. Grandma Lin came for my supplies. Big mistake. Huge. Her private message was dripping with fake sweetness. Little Zhang, you work at a warehouse. You must have tons of food at home. I remember those 3 carts. Now be a good boy and bring everything to me. It's for the community. The organization will remember your sacrifice. I picked up a toothpick and started cleaning my teeth. Lunch was roast lamb leg. Bit stringy. Get stuck. Sorry, Grandma Lin. We're completely out of food over here. Totally empty. You know how it is. Even landlords have no spare grain these days. Then I hit her with the reverse card. Actually, could you send me a few packs of noodles? As a committee member, shouldn't you be leading by example? Show that community spirit. The silence that followed was so thick I could have spread it on toast. Then she dropped the sweet act entirely. Her voice went low and threatening like a movie villain who just took off her disguise. Zhang Yi, I'm not asking anymore. I'm speaking on behalf of the organization. Refusing to surrender your supplies is defying official orders. There will be consequences. Oh, she went there. The organization card. The big scary institutional boogeyman. Something inside me snapped, not from fear, but from the sheer comedy of this woman pretending to be an authority figure during the literal end of civilization. Organization? You're waving a chicken feather around like it's a royal scepter. You're not even a real government employee. You're not a civil servant. You don't even have an official position. You're a volunteer who runs errands for the committee. You can fool some retired grandpas and grandmas with that act. But trying it on me? Are you out of your mind? Do whatever you want. I'll be right here. Waiting. I hung up. Blocked her. Done. Could practically hear her screaming through the walls. Zhang Yi, I'll kill you. Sure, Grandma. You're bundled under 5 blankets, unable to feel your toes. And you're going to come kill the guy in the heated steel fortress with crossbows and guns. I'll leave the light on for you. She wanted to kick me out of the group chat, but realized that wouldn't hurt me at all. She wanted to publicly shame me. But then everyone would learn that refusing to hand over supplies was an option, and her whole scam would collapse. She was trapped in a corner of her own making, with no moves left. So she swallowed her rage and moved on to easier targets. Over the next 2 days, I watched the whole pathetic operation through my 300 cameras. Grandma Lin went door to door, mixing threats with guilt trips, squeezing supplies out of the timid families. Some people actually fell for it and handed over food. Others told her to get lost. The bolder ones cursed her out so badly, she practically ran away. Chen Jinghao and Su Hao's doors. She didn't even approach. Funny how the organizational authority suddenly stops applying when there's a gangster or a rich kid on the other side of the door. By day 5, the building was starting to crack for real. Normal families keep 3 to 5 days of food at home. Even the warehouse workers who brought home discounted goods were burning through supplies faster than expected. Extreme cold makes your body consume more calories and fuel for heating. The math was brutal and simple. Supplies going down, temperature going down, hope going down. The group chat started getting ugly. The polite, patient people who'd been waiting for rescue were turning angry. The ones Grandma Lin had conned were furious. At Grandma Lin, you said you'd redistribute the supplies. Where's our share? We gave you our food 2 days ago. Our family has nothing left. You promised unified distribution. When even people who'd refused to contribute were jumping in, hoping to grab a piece of whatever Grandma Lynn had collected. And Grandma Lynn? She went completely silent. Vanished from the chat like a ghost. Read receipts on, replies off. Because of course she did. She was huddled under 5 layers of blankets with her grandson, clutching the food she'd swindled from her neighbors, teeth clenched, muttering, "I worked hard to steal this food. You think I'm giving it back?" The community leader. The woman who told everyone not to stockpile. The one who threatened people with government punishment for hoarding. She'd collected supplies from desperate families under false pretenses and was now keeping every last crumb for herself. I watched it all from my surveillance screens, eating imported snacks on my warm carpet, completely unsurprised. In my previous life, I fell for her trick. Gave her my food. Earned nothing but a spot on the menu when the mob came for me. This time, the only thing she got from Zhang was a vocabulary lesson in creative insults and a permanent spot on my block list. I changed the channel on my TV, grabbed another snack, and settled in for the show. Day 5 of the apocalypse, and the neighbors were already turning on each other. The real entertainment was just getting started. The neighbors finally figured out they'd been scammed. The group chat turned into a bonfire of insults aimed at Grandma Lynn. Every family she'd conned was screaming for their food back. Did she care? Not one bit. She'd thrown away her dignity the moment she decided to steal from her neighbors. Their angry emojis couldn't hurt her. Their curse words couldn't feed her. She was sitting in her apartment eating cookies with little Tiger, completely unbothered by the digital mob she'd created. But someone else was paying attention to those stolen supplies. Chen Jinghao, one-legged gangster extraordinaire. His fridge was empty except for frozen beer that had turned into sad, inedible ice blocks. His crew of thugs was camped out in his apartment, partly for warmth, partly because half of them were still sick from my water treatment, and partly because Chun Jinghao was smart enough to know that having muscle nearby would matter soon. Problem: a dozen hungry mouths, almost no food. Solution: Grandma Lynn had just publicly announced she'd collected everyone's supplies for redistribution. His eyes lit up like a slot machine hitting jackpot. She'd done all the hard work of stealing for him, and if anyone complained later, he could claim he was just collecting his fair share of the community supplies she'd promised to distribute. Technically, she said it was for everyone. He was just helping with the logistics. He called her up. "Hey, Grandma Lynn, heard you've got everyone's supplies. My family's running low. Send some over." I could practically hear her spine dissolving through the surveillance footage. She stuttered out some excuse about needing to finalize the distribution plan, and some families haven't contributed yet. Chen Jinghao's patience lasted about 4 seconds. "Listen, you old bat. Hand over the stuff, or I'm coming to get it. Your little committee title doesn't mean squat to me." Grandma Lynn tried one last desperate card. "I'm warning you. Don't do anything rash." "I'm a committee member." He laughed so hard I heard it echo through the building. "Committee member? You think I care? Give me the food, or I'll take it myself." Click. Call over. Within minutes, Chen Jinghao mobilized his crew. A limping gang boss using a mop handle as a crutch in one hand and a baseball bat in the other, followed by a squad of thugs who were still half-sick and fully angry. They marched down to Grandma Lynn's floor like the world's most pathetic army. And I was watching the entire thing in high definition on my surveillance monitors. Feet up on the coffee table, bowl of chips in my lap, watching my TV show on one screen and the live security feed on the other. Oh boy, it's dog-eat-dog time. 2 of my least favorite people in the entire building, about to destroy each other. Day 5 of the apocalypse, and I was already getting premium entertainment. Christmas came early. Or rather, Christmas came frozen. While watching, a thought popped into my head. From my previous life, I knew Grandma Lynn's scam would keep working even after this incident. People are gullible. Thousands of years of cultural conditioning to obey authority figures meant some neighbors would keep falling for her tricks, handing over food to a woman who'd never share a crumb, unless someone exposed her in real time. I looked at my phone, looked at the surveillance feed, looked back at my phone. What if I recorded this whole thing and posted it in the group chat? A grin spread across my face that probably looked absolutely diabolical. That would be spectacular. I hit the record button. On screen, Chun Jinghao's crew reached Grandma Lynn's door and started hammering, demanding she open up, shouting threats that echoed through the frozen hallway. Now, our apartment complex has decent security doors, the kind that stop casual burglars. But these were not casual burglars. These were professional door breakers with years of experience. Baseball bats, steel bars, crowbars. They went at that lock like surgeons of destruction. Her door was not my door. No aerospace alloy. No bank vault engineering. Just a standard residential lock that had zero chance against determined thugs. Through the camera, I watched Grandma Lynn desperately shoving furniture against the door, tables, her sofa, anything she could move. Her face was chalk white, eyes bulging with terror. The lock broke. The furniture barrier crumbled like paper. The thugs poured in. The woman who'd spent 5 days terrorizing gentle families with fake government orders was now experiencing what it felt like to be on the other side of the door. I stuffed another chip in my mouth and kept recording. Karma doesn't always come quickly, but when it does, it brings friends. Angry, one-legged, baseball bat-wielding friends. Through my surveillance cameras, the show began. Chen Jinghao's crew smashed through Grandma Lin's door like it was made of cardboard. Her furniture barricade lasted about as long as a sandcastle against a tsunami. Then I heard it, a scream so loud and piercing it could have shattered her own windows. Chen Jinghao had walked in and slapped her across the face hard enough to rearrange her personality. This is what you get for scamming the neighbors. I'm doing God's work here, he was laughing while saying it. Truly a man who enjoys his job. Grandma Lin crumpled to the floor like a deflated balloon, while Chun Jinghao's boys fanned out through her apartment like cockroaches in reverse. Except instead of scattering, they were gathering. Kitchen, bedroom, closets, they ransacked every hiding spot she had. The hall, piles of instant noodles, bread, cookies, bottled water, everything she'd conned out of her trusting neighbors over the past few days. All of it now belonged to Team Gangster. Grandma Lin dragged herself across the floor and grabbed Chen Jinghao's leg like a scene from a bad drama. You can't take everything. Some of that is OURS. How will my grandson and I survive? Chen Jinghao looked down at her with the warmth of a freezer. Not my problem. Get OFF me. Then he kicked her in the face with his one good leg. The scream that followed could have won awards for sheer volume. Just when I thought the entertainment had peaked, Little Tiger, Grandma Lin's demon grandchild, came bursting out of the bedroom like a tiny, furious torpedo. One of the thugs had found his secret stash of chocolate cookies, and the kid lost it. He grabbed a fruit knife from a drawer and stabbed one of the gangsters right in the butt. In the butt. The guy yelped, spun around, and saw his attacker was a 6-year-old. The embarrassment on his face was almost worse than the wound. Getting shanked in the rear by a kindergartner, his street reputation just went negative. What happened next was, well, it was the apocalypse showing its true colors. The thug, nicknamed Number 5, was so furious that he kicked Little Tiger with everything he had. A full-grown man's full-force kick versus a 6-year-old. The kid went airborne, flew across the room, hit the wall, and slid down like a rag doll. The other thugs thought this was the funniest thing they'd ever seen. Haha. Number 5, when did you learn Kung Fu? You launched that kid like a football. Somebody should have filmed that. Number 5 pulled the knife out of his backside, looking extremely pleased with himself. Pretty cool, right? Should have gotten that on camera. Grandma Lin, who'd been playing dead on the floor to avoid more hits, heard her grandson's cry and snapped back to life. My baby. My grandson. She crawled toward Little Tiger while Chun Jinghao stood over her, pointing dramatically. This is the price of deceiving your neighbors. Justice has been served. Then they all strolled out laughing, arms full of stolen from the stolen supplies. A robbery of a robbery. A scam reversal. Karma playing ping pong with canned goods. Did I feel sorry for Grandma Lin? Let me think. No, not even a little. This woman had spent 5 days terrorizing families into giving up their survival supplies using fake government orders. She got a taste of the exact medicine she'd been prescribing to everyone else. But watching this scene also told me something important. The thin layer of civilized behavior that held this building together had officially cracked. And cracks only spread. I posted the surveillance footage to the building group chat. The reaction was instantaneous celebration. Huh. The scammer got scammed. Brother Hao is a hero. That's what she deserves. Justice. Beautiful justice. She had it coming. Karma is real. People were literally praising Chun Jinghao, the violent gangster with a criminal record, as a hero of the people. Some were even worried about him getting in trouble and offering advice on how to avoid consequences. I shook my head and smirked. These idiots were cheering for the wolf because it ate the fox. Not one of them stopped to think. If Chun Jinghao can kick down Grandma Lin's door today, he can kick down yours tomorrow. But honestly, most families still had supplies. The whole, "we're starving" act in the group chat was just everyone playing poor to avoid being targeted for sharing. This neighborhood was full of warehouse workers who brought home discounted goods regularly. A case of near-expired instant noodles, carefully rationed, could feed a family of 3 for 4 or 5 days. People were far from comfortable, but they weren't truly desperate yet. In my previous life, the building lasted a full month before the neighbors went feral enough to break down my door and eat me. The timeline was ticking, but the real chaos was still weeks away. I closed the group chat and pulled out an archery target from my pocket dimension, mounted it on the wall, grabbed my crossbow and compound bow, and started practicing. Safe house or not, I couldn't get lazy. Daily target practice was both survival training and entertainment. 2 birds, 1 arrow literally. As for gun practice, no need. I had a shooting club membership and knew how to use firearms. Marksmanship didn't need to be Olympic level. Just having a gun is 90% of the intimidation. Besides, I only had 100 bullets. Unlike arrows, those couldn't be reused. Every trigger pull needed to count. I knocked another bolt, aimed at the target, and let fly. Thunk. Dead center. The apocalypse was a nightmare for everyone else. For me, it was a staycation with target practice. But her real nightmare wasn't the bruises, it was Little Tiger. That full-force kick to a 6-year-old stomach had done serious internal damage. She was desperate, sobbing in the group chat, begging anyone and everyone for help. "Please, my grandson is innocent. He's just a child. Someone save him." The sympathy meter from the neighbors read approximately 0. How do we know this isn't another scam? We're not doctors. Can't help. If you hadn't stolen everyone's food, Qin Jinghao wouldn't have come after you. This is your fault. Grandma Lin was having a full breakdown. It's all my fault. I'll take all the blame. Just save my grandson. I'll kneel. I'll kowtow. Anything. Then a message appeared from someone I hadn't seen speak in the group before. Jokur. I can take a look at the child. No guarantees, though. The moment I read that name, a picture popped into my head. Tall, athletic build, long ponytail, cool, and distant personality. Jokur was a doctor at Tianhai City's First People's Hospital. In my previous life, she'd used her medical skills to save multiple people during the apocalypse. One of the genuinely good humans in this building. She rarely spoke in the group chat, but a dying child was enough to bring her out. Grandma Lin practically teleported her grandson to Jokur's apartment. Half an hour later, Grandma Lin was back in the chat, even more frantic. "Does anyone have blood-stopping medicine? Anti-shock drugs? Antibiotics? My grandson needs surgery. Please." Little Tiger's liver had ruptured from that kick. Jokur had done emergency first aid, but couldn't perform proper surgery without supplies. The neighbors responded with sympathetic silence. Nobody keeps surgical-grade medications at home. That's just not a thing normal people do. Qin Jinghao, classy as ever, popped in with, "You said you'd kowtow. You gonna do that through the phone screen?" Ha ha ha. The chat filled with laughing emojis. Humanity at its finest. Now, did I have those exact medications sitting in my pocket dimension? Absolutely. 5 crates of premium imported pharmaceuticals, including everything Jokur needed. Did I consider helping? For about half a second. Then I remembered. This woman scammed her neighbors, helped get me killed in my last life, and her grandson once tried to steal my chocolate while threatening to beat me to death. More importantly, exposing my medical supplies would be like painting a target on my forehead. And even if Little Tiger survived the surgery, a child with a ruptured liver wasn't making it through months of extreme cold without proper hospital care. Those drugs were staying right where they were, in my infinite pocket of preserved treasures, reserved for the one person whose survival actually mattered, me. Nobody helped. Jokur eventually posted that she'd stabilized Little Tiger temporarily, but he needed real hospital surgery to survive long-term. She also offered to help any resident with medical emergencies. The group chat instantly transformed into a Jokur fan club. Chun Jinghao, Su Hao, the same guys who'd never given her the time of day, were falling over themselves with compliments. "What an angel! A true healer. We're so lucky to have you." Funny how a doctor becomes everyone's best friend when dying becomes a real possibility. Fang Yuqing had been quiet for days. No messages, no flirty hints, nothing. She was probably sitting in her freezing apartment, clinging to her pride like it was a warm blanket, which it wasn't, because pride has zero thermal insulation value. I knew she'd come crawling back eventually. She just needed her vanity to run out before her food did. 1 week into the apocalypse. 7 days. For people huddled in freezing apartments with dwindling supplies, it felt like 7 years. The initial optimism was dead. Through the internet, while phones still had charged during brief power windows, everyone had learned the truth. This was a global catastrophe. Hundreds of thousands of years between events like this. Entire cities in the north buried under snow at -100 degrees. The government was still broadcasting encouragement, but nobody believed everything is under control anymore. Then things took an interesting turn. A mother named Xieli Mei on the 12th floor posted a message that changed everything. Does anyone have food left? My child and I haven't eaten in 2 days. I'll pay a high price. This was the spark. Up until now, food trades had happened at maybe 2 or 3 times normal prices. Expensive, but not insane. People still believed the blizzard would end soon and money would matter again. But supplies were running out. Fast. Food wasn't just food anymore. It was literally the difference between living and dying. Someone responded, I have a few packs of instant noodles, but the price is 1,000 yuan per pack. 1,000 yuan. For a pack of instant noodles that cost 3 yuan at the supermarket. A 333 times markup. The apocalypse economy had officially arrived. I leaned back, chin in hand, watching the chat like a stock trader watching the market open. Here we go. Things are about to get very interesting. Xieli Mei hesitated. 1,000 per pack was insane. People still had a tiny shred of hope that the storm would pass, that money would matter again, that 1,000 yuan would still be 1,000 yuan. Someday. Then Su Hao, the spoiled rich kid who'd been sleeping with his girlfriend under a mountain of blankets, casually dropped a bomb in the chat. I'll pay 2,000 per pack. However many you have, I'll take all of them. 2,000 yuan. For instant noodles. And he wanted the entire supply. The rich kid had just fired the starting gun on the apocalypse food wars. When a billionaire's son starts panic buying noodles at 600 times retail price, the market doesn't just shift, it explodes. I watched the chat reactions ripple in real time. Shock, anger, desperation, greed, all competing for screen space. I smiled and reached into my pocket dimension for a snack. Something from the 5-star hotel, I think. Maybe some lobster. The Hunger Games had officially begun, and I had the best seat in the house. 2,000 for instant noodles? Am I reading this right? Stop driving prices up. You're scaring people. Someone sent a shaky voice message. The blizzard will end, right? There's no need for this, right? The trembling in his voice said everything his words were trying to hide. Another guy tried to play it cool. Haha, 2,000 for noodles? What is this, the zombie apocalypse? It's just a big snowstorm. Winter came early. That's all. No need to panic. I chuckled at my phone. Zombie apocalypse? Please. Zombies are a downgrade from this. You can fight zombies. You can outrun zombies. You cannot outrun a planet-wide ice age that drops temperatures 100 degrees in one night. Zombies wish they were this scary. Suhao was playing it cocky in the chat. I've got money and I want to spend it. Selling? Message me privately. Not selling? Whatever. I don't care. He was pretending not to care. But I could read him like a book. A rich kid offering 600 times retail for instant noodles isn't shopping. He's panicking. Behind the arrogant words was a man who'd realized that his family's billions couldn't order him a single delivery meal. His credit cards were now worth less than the plastic they were made of. Welcome to the apocalypse, rich boy. Then things got sad. Xieli Mei, a young mother on the 12th floor, was begging in the chat. How can you do this? My family has no food. I need to feed my baby. I'm trying to buy supplies to survive. Suhao didn't even flinch. I'm not stealing from you. I'm just offering more money. People can sell to whoever they want. Free market, baby. Xieli Mei broke down crying in the group chat. Please help us. My daughter is only 9 months old. Without food, I have no breast milk. We're going to starve. The chat went dead silent. Not one response. Not one. Hang in there. Not even a sad emoji. Why? Because Suhao was offering 2,000 per pack, and Xieli Mei could only offer 1,000. Average monthly salary in this city was 5,000 yuan. Who's going to sell their survival food at half price to a stranger when a rich kid is waving double the money? People were already sliding into Su Hao's DMs, cutting deals left and right. The invisible hand of the market was slapping the poorest members of the building right in the face. Xieli Mei kept crying, kept begging. Nobody responded. Because the moment you show sympathy, she latches on. Everyone knew this. So they stayed silent, scrolling past her messages like she was an ad they couldn't skip. Now, I had a memory of this woman from my previous life. She always played the helpless single mother card. Weak, fragile, desperate. But here's the thing. She and her baby survived, all the way through the apocalypse. While tougher, stronger people died around her, this supposedly helpless woman kept going. That doesn't happen by accident. Behind that crying mother routine was someone considerably more calculating than she let on. And when the mob came for me in my previous life, she almost certainly got her share of my supplies too. Pink things look innocent on the outside. Cut them open and they're dark inside. I kept my mouth shut and my supplies invisible. Saving a stranger's baby sounds heroic until you realize that heroism in the apocalypse gets you killed and eaten. Eventually, good old Uncle Yu, because of course it was Uncle Yu, couldn't take it anymore and offered to share some of his food with Xieli Mei. She thanked him with tears and promises of eternal gratitude. Through my cameras, I watched Su Hao successfully buy supplies from multiple neighbors with cold, hard cash. Not a huge amount, but enough for him and his girlfriend to last a few more weeks. I smirked. That's the last time money will work in this building. Soon enough, people would realize that cash was becoming wallpaper. When your last pack of noodles is the only thing keeping you alive, no amount of zeros on a bank transfer matters. Su Hao was spending the final currency of a dying civilization. And every neighbor who sold their food for his money, they'd be kicking themselves raw when they realized they'd traded survival for fancy toilet paper. The ripple effect was immediate and devastating. Su Hao's 2,000 yuan purchase set a psychological price floor. Suddenly, everyone in the building, across all 25 units in the complex, understood exactly how scarce food had become. Friends who'd been sharing snacks last week now clutched their supplies like dragons guarding gold. Best buddies who'd split a pack of crackers on day 2 were now lying through their teeth. Sorry, man. We're totally out. Generosity died. Sharing died. Trust died. 2,000 yuan killed them all. Day 10 of the apocalypse. Over at Fang Yuqing and Lin Caning's apartment, the situation had reached critical mass. Their food was almost gone. The supplies Zhou Peng the simp had delivered were nearly finished. Their own purchases from the supermarket trip, gone. At current consumption rates, they had maybe 1 week before starvation. 2 women who'd spent their entire adult lives eating at restaurants, ordering delivery, and getting men to pay for everything were now sitting on a couch wrapped in blankets, faces pale and gaunt, staring at their last package of compressed biscuits like it was the Holy Grail. Lin Caning looked at the crackers. Yuqing, this is our last pack. Fang Yuqing's eyes were filled with genuine suffering. In her previous life, well, her life before the apocalypse, she wouldn't have let these dry, tasteless bricks anywhere near her delicate throat. Now, she was eating every last crumb, licking her fingers, picking bits off the floor and putting them in her mouth. The goddess had fallen. The green tea princess was eating floor crumbs. And somewhere on the 24th floor, a man in pajamas was eating 5-star hotel cuisine on a warm sofa, watching it all unfold on his surveillance monitors. I'd say I felt bad, but that would be the biggest lie since the blizzard will pass soon. Meanwhile, in the freezing apartment of my 2 favorite scam artists, a crisis meeting was underway. Lin Caning delivered the inventory report like a CEO announcing bankruptcy. We have 5 packs of dry snack noodles, 3 bags of instant noodles, and half a bottle of chili sauce. The steamed buns and dried noodles are gone. That's it. That's the whole empire. Fang Yuqing grabbed her head like it was about to explode. Dry snack noodles? Those don't even fill you up. They're a snack, not a meal. Lin Caning stared at her hard. Yuqing, what if the snow never stops? Fang Yuqing slowly turned to look out the window. Through the ice crystals forming on the glass, snowflakes were still falling. 10 days straight. Not 1 second of pause. The second floor was completely buried. The streets outside were dead. No snowplows, no rescue vehicles, no sign of civilization whatsoever. She broke down crying. What are we going to do? We're going to starve. Lin Caning, ever the practical strategist of desperation, went down the list. What about Zhou Peng? Does he have anything left? Fang Yuqing shook her head. I already squeezed him dry. Literally not a drop left. I even pretended I'd be his girlfriend. His last 2 packs of noodles, his final food, he gave them to me. The man looks like a walking skeleton now. He's got nothing. She'd extracted every molecule of value from that man and tossed the empty husk aside like a used napkin. The simp had been fully juiced. Operational capacity, 0. Lin Caning clenched her fists. There has to be someone else. We're pretty. If we just put ourselves out there, some man will. Fang Yuqing cut her off with a look. Are you stupid? Everyone's treating food like it's their own blood right now. Even if some guy thinks we're attractive, he's not going to trade survival for a date. And in this cold, even if we offered ourselves for free, they'd probably be too frozen to do anything about it. What Lin Caning didn't know was that Fang Yuqing had already tried the beauty for food strategy. Secretly, she'd attempted to trade her considerable charms for supplies from various men in the building. The results were not great. She had standards, you see. Even during the apocalypse, the man had to be at least 185 centimeters tall. Government job preferred. Monthly income of 50,000 yuan minimum. Only then would she consider the transaction. She got rejected by a 60-year-old grandpa who told her, and I quote, "If you'd come half a month earlier, I might have still had it in me. But now, ship has sailed, sweetheart." The apocalypse's most picky gold digger, turned down by a senior citizen. If there was ever a moment that perfectly captured the fall of civilization, that was it. Lin Caning was panicking. Her backup plan of using her looks as a survival tool had also hit a wall made of extreme cold and male disinterest. Turns out -60 degrees is the world's most effective mood killer. Then a light bulb flickered on behind her desperate eyes. Wait, Yuqing, don't you still have one more simp? You're forgetting someone, of course. Me, Zhang Yi, the original backup, the veteran spare tire. The man they'd mocked, exploited, and thrown away, but never quite deleted from their contacts. Fang Yuqing's face hardened like the ice outside. That jerk. Unless he comes to my door on his knees begging for forgiveness, I will never contact him first, still clinging to the goddess act. Still maintaining the too good for him posture. Still acting like a queen while sitting on a frozen couch eating floor crumbs from a cracker packet. The dedication to the role was almost admirable. If I go to him, it destroys my image. How will I attract a rich husband in the future? Future rich husband. She was planning her dating strategy for after the apocalypse. In -60 degrees. With 5 packs of snack noodles to her name. The optimism was genuinely breathtaking. Lin Caning switched to persuasion mode. Think about it. Zhang Yi stockpiled a tion of food before this started. Even after 10 days, he's got way more than anyone else. One word from you, and he'll sprint to deliver everything. He's been chasing you for 2.5 years. All you have to do is smile, and he'll catch fire again. She leaned in with her signature scheming grin. That's what spare tires are for. You pull them out when you need them, ride them until they're flat, then put them back in the trunk. Just give him a tiny bit of hope, reignite that flame, and he'll hand over everything he has. Fang Yuqing's expression wavered. The words, stockpiled food, and, more than anyone else, were working on her brain like a crowbar on a locked door. Her pride said a no. Her stomach said yes, please. The battle between vanity and hunger was about to reach its climax. And I was sitting 24 floors up, completely unaware of this conversation, but absolutely prepared for it, with my door locked, my crossbow loaded, and my sympathy dial turned firmly to 0. Come on over, ladies. Knock on the bank vault. See what happens. Fang Yuqing's pride finally lost the war against her stomach. Hunger, 1. Vanity, 0. My phone dinged. I looked down and saw her name. The smirk that crossed my face could have powered a small city. I pressed play on the voice message and was immediately hit with the most weaponized baby voice in human history. Zhang Yi, you mean it? You haven't talked to me in so long. You're so bad. I didn't mean what I said before. I felt bad right away. But I'm a girl, you know? Girls can't make the first move. You're supposed to chase me. You dummy. Peak green tea technology. Maximum cuteness deployment. Every syllable calibrated to make a man's knees weak and his wallet open. In my previous life, this exact voice had turned me into a mindless love zombie. And honestly, Even now, knowing she's a backstabbing murderer who wanted to boil my ribs for soup, hearing that sugary voice made my bones tingle a little. I had to physically bite down to snap out of it. This woman was dangerous. Not like a knife is dangerous, like quicksand is dangerous. Sweet, soft, and deadly. I typed back, been sick lately. Too tired to check my phone. She immediately went into concerned girlfriend mode. Sick? Did you catch a cold? Please stay warm. Nah, it's heat exhaustion. Dead silence on her end. I could practically hear her brain short-circuiting. Heat exhaustion. In -60 degrees. When she and Lynn Canning were huddled together under blankets, unable to feel their own faces. Heat. Exhaustion. Zhang-Yi. Stop joking. How could you possibly get heat exhaustion in this weather? I sent a casual reply. Cold. Really? I have a fireplace. My apartment is so hot it's annoying. I think I fell asleep too close to the fire the other night. Then I took a photo. Angled it perfectly, my bare legs stretched toward the roaring fireplace, flames dancing beautifully. And, accidentally, captured in the frame, a coffee table overflowing with snacks, plus the remains of lamb chops and chicken drumsticks I'd been snacking on. Sent. If the previous food photos were jabs, this one was a knockout uppercut. Fang Yuqing's eyes went so wide they nearly fell out of her skull. A fireplace. In the South, where nobody owns a fireplace because winters are mild. While she'd been freezing so badly that she and Lynn Canning had burned a chair for 10 minutes of warmth, and cried actual tears from the brief heat. This man had a permanent, roaring, wood-burning fireplace, keeping his apartment tropical. She stared at that photo like a starving person looking through a bakery window. The fire, the food, the bare legs of a man, so warm he couldn't be bothered to wear pants. Lynn Canning shoved her head into frame. One look at the photo, and she screamed. This photoshopped? Nobody can be living like this right now. This is paradise. Fang Yuqing's gold digger instincts kicked into overdrive. Wait, how is he living this well? Everyone else is freezing and starving. Maybe these photos are all fake. Genius idea. Video call. Can't Photoshop a live feed. My phone lit up with the video request. I grinned. Oh, she wanted to see? Let her see. Let her see everything. I accepted the call. The screen split into two worlds. On MY's side, freshly exercised, shirtless, lounging on my sofa like a Roman emperor. Bright lights everywhere. Gym equipment visible behind me. And in the kitchen, casually arranged as if I didn't even care, boxes of dried scallops, fish maw, abalone, premium instant noodles, jars of caviar, and tins of truffle. Just sitting there. Like groceries. Like it was nothing. To me, this stuff was casual snack food. Background decoration. The equivalent of a bag of chips on a college student's desk. On their side, two ghost-like women wrapped in thick blankets, faces pale and drawn, no makeup because cosmetics freeze below -40. Fang Yuqing, the woman I'd chased for 2.5 years, the goddess I'd worshipped, looked ordinary, maybe a 6 out of 10 on a generous day. Years of professional makeup had been doing heavy lifting. Without it, the magic was gone. I mentally kicked my past self. All that time, all that effort, all that devotion, for a 6? I'd been scammed by Asian cosmetics wizardry for years. Embarrassing. Truly embarrassing. The two women didn't notice my disappointed expression. Their eyes were too busy scanning every pixel of my apartment like security cameras on overdrive. Bare chest equals room temperature is warm. Tropical warm. Swimsuit warm. Bright lights equals he has power. Real, continuous, unlimited power. While they got 1 hour of electricity per day and weren't even allowed to run heaters during that hour. Kitchen full of premium food equals this man isn't just surviving. He's feasting. Abalone. Caviar. Truffle. While they were fighting over cracker crumbs. Their eyes were literally glowing green. Two hungry wolves staring at a lamb. Except in this case, the lamb was behind a bank vault door with crossbows and guns, so the wolves were going to have to use their words. The video call that was supposed to expose my fake photos had just confirmed that every single picture I'd sent was real. And the reality was even more outrageous than the photos suggested. I could see it happening in real time. Behind Fang Yuqing's desperate eyes, a complete strategy recalculation was taking place. Zhang Yi wasn't a broke warehouse supervisor anymore. Zhang Yi was the richest, most comfortable, most valuable man in the entire building. Maybe the entire city. The spare tire had just become the main engine. And the goddess? The goddess was about to start begging. I leaned back, perfectly relaxed, and waited for the show to begin. I decided to twist the knife a little. You two look like you've lost weight. Congratulations, the fury in their eyes. They didn't choose to lose weight. They were being starved into it. 1 pack of instant noodles per day, rationed like wartime soldiers. And this guy is congratulating them like they joined a fitness program. Lin Caning couldn't stop staring at my kitchen, throat bobbing up and down like a piston. Zhang-Yi, how do you have so much food? Is that from when we all went shopping together? I glanced over my shoulder at the kitchen like I'd forgotten it existed. Oh, that stuff? Just junk food. I eat it when I'm too lazy to cook a real meal. Barely touch it usually. Junk food. I called boxes of dried scallops, abalone, fish maw, caviar, truffle, and premium instant noodles junk food. Meanwhile, in their building's group chat, a single pack of regular noodles was selling for 2,000 yuan. I was basically sitting on a dragon's hoard of treasure and calling it garbage. Their throats kept swallowing involuntarily. I watched in quiet satisfaction, saying nothing, just enjoying the view of 2 professional gold diggers realizing that the man they dismissed as a boring middle-class backup was now living better than any billionaire on the planet. Fang Yuqing switched to maximum charm mode. The voice went up an octave. The eyes got bigger. The lip did that little pout thing. Zhang-Yi Gidge, your home is so amazing. You're so smart for preparing like this. I really admire you, Gidge. She called me Gidge, big brother, in the flirtiest possible way. In 2.5 years of me chasing her, she'd never once used that word. Now it was rolling off her tongue like honey because my kitchen had abalone in it. Your apartment looks so warm. How come your lights are on when there's no electricity? I flipped the camera to show my roaring fireplace. Oh, I installed a fireplace. It's actually too hot in here. Kind of annoying. Then, and this was my masterpiece, I added, by the way, is it really that cold outside? I haven't left my apartment in 10 days. I genuinely don't know what it's like out there. I genuinely don't know. As if I hadn't been reading the group chat every single day watching people describe their apartments hitting -50. As if I hadn't seen the news about global catastrophe. As if I was just a confused rich guy wondering why everyone seemed upset. They were seething. But what could they do? The man had the fireplace, the food, and the absolute audacity. You can't argue with someone who has all 3. Fang Yuqing deployed her ultimate weapon. Doe eyes, pouty lips, trembling voice. Zhang-Yi Gidge, you're so amazing. Could I maybe come visit you? I haven't seen you in so long. I miss you so much. She was positive this would work. This move had a 100% success rate on every simp she'd ever targeted. One flutter of the eyelashes and men would sell their kidneys to make her comfortable. Zhang-Yi had chased her for 2.5 years. Surely one, I miss you, would crack him like an egg. Her plan was simple. Get through the door, then use her skills to make herself impossible to kick out. Give him just enough attention to keep him hooked. Become a permanent resident of Paradise Apartment. Easy. What she didn't account for was that the man on the other end of this video call had literally been murdered because of her in his previous life. The rose-tinted glasses weren't just off. They'd been smashed, burned, and thrown into the pocket dimension. Looking at her without makeup, without filters, without the goddess lighting of a carefully curated social media presence, she was maybe a 6. Maybe. I'd spent 2.5 years worshipping a 6 because she was good at eyeliner and baby talk. The shame was almost physical. I leaned back on my sofa, rested my chin on my hand, and said in the laziest voice possible, it's really cold outside. You should just stay home and rest. Don't go running around. I mean, I don't personally know how cold it is. But judging from how you two look, it's probably pretty bad out there. Both of them froze. Not from the cold this time, from pure shock. Fang Yuqing's face went through confusion, disbelief, and a hint of existential crisis. She'd just been rejected. Her, the goddess, the woman who'd had men lining up to carry her groceries. Rejected by her own backup plan. She scrambled to recover. Squeezed out another smile. Bigger pout. More sparkle in the eyes. Zhang-Yi Gidge, don't tease me. You used to be so nice to me. I just want to visit. Nothing weird, I promise. Any other man would have caved. The combination of pretty face plus begging plus, I miss you, was a biological weapon against male willpower. But I had immunity. The vaccine was called. She got me killed and tried to make soup from my bones. I smiled and delivered the final blow. Funny. Every time I invited you to my place before, you always said no. We're both single. People will talk. It wouldn't look right. Remember that. I think you were absolutely correct. We should keep our distance. Wouldn't want anyone gossiping. Her own words. The exact excuses she'd used for 2 years to keep me at arm's length while she enjoyed my attention, my gifts, and my devotion, without ever giving anything back. Every rejected dinner invitation. Every, let's not rush things. Every, what would people think? I served them all back to her on a silver platter, still warm. The look on her face was worth more than everything in my pocket dimension. Fang Yuqing wasn't giving up. The woman had more persistence than a telemarketer on commission. I was just looking out for you back then. Don't be so petty, Zhang Yigij. She bit her lip and somehow, in negative 60 degrees, managed to produce a blush on her cheeks. I'll come over and massage your shoulders. Rub your legs. I'll admit it. Internally, I screamed. What? The acting was so convincing, I almost believed she'd graduated from the Beijing Film Academy. Producing a shy maiden blush in a frozen apartment while wrapped in 3 blankets? That's not flirting. That's sorcery. Give this woman a trophy. Give her 10 trophies. She deserved every Oscar ever manufactured. But my immune system was fully operational. That's totally inappropriate. We're not boyfriend and girlfriend. I'm a traditional man. Her face twitched. I could see the mental blue screen of death happening behind her eyes. She was offering herself on a platter, and I was playing the virgin card? In the apocalypse? She decided to go nuclear. Forget subtlety. Forget hints. Full confession mode. Lin Canning sitting right there be damned. Zhang Yigij. The truth is, I've always had feelings for you, being boyfriend and girlfriend. It's definitely something we could consider. After all, spending time together makes feelings grow, right? She covered her face with her hands, peeking through her fingers. I can't believe I'm saying this. You're making me say it out loud. The shy peek. The trembling voice. The, accidentally, revealing confession. If manipulation was an Olympic sport, this woman would have broken world records. 10 years of green tea training, distilled into one perfectly crafted moment. For exactly 0.3 seconds, a thought crossed my mind. Should I let her in? Not out of feelings, purely for recreational purposes. She did chase me away for 2 years. Maybe one night of, brain override. Denied. This was the apocalypse. Opening my fortress door for anyone was a survival risk. This woman had literally orchestrated my death in my previous life. Letting her inside because she batted her eyelashes would be the stupidest decision since the captain of the Titanic said, full speed ahead, being alive beats everything. I leaned toward the camera with my most condescending smile. Fang Yuqing, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I spread my hands casually. Sure, we had a nice friendship. But, I moved my face closer to the camera, grinning. You don't actually think I liked you, do you? Boom. If words were weapons, that sentence was a thermonuclear warhead aimed directly at the foundation of her entire identity. For a woman who built her life on the belief that every man within a 5-mile radius was secretly in love with her, being told, I was never into you, was the equivalent of pulling the floor out from under her feet while she stood on the 100th floor. Her face went white. Next to her, Lin Canning's eyes flickered with barely concealed delight, because nothing makes a best friend happier than watching the pretty friend get humiliated. Sisterhood is beautiful. What do you mean? You chased me for 2 years. I laughed. Actually laughed. Right in the camera. Don't flatter yourself. You're cute, sure. But dating you? I was just having fun. With my looks, my apartment, my savings, and my job, you think I'd have trouble finding a girlfriend in this city? Please, the real question is, where did you get the confidence to think I was desperately pursuing you? Every word landed like a slap. I wasn't even lying. On paper, pre-apocalypse Zhang Yi was a catch. Local resident, homeowner, 6-figure savings, stable career, tall and handsome. The only reason I'd been her backup was because old me was too naive to realize he was being played. But I wasn't done. Not even close. Let's be real. Drop the innocent princess act. You're a gold digger. That's your whole thing. Chasing rich kids, trying to marry into money. You think wealthy guys can't see through that? Her eyes went wide. Want to know something fun? In the rich kid circles of this city, you're famous. You chased this young master 1 week, that young master the next. They all played with you for a few days and moved on. But you actually thought you had a shot at being their wife? I paused for dramatic effect. Know what they call you behind your back? The public bus. The communal charging port. Silence. The kind of silence that follows an explosion, where the shockwave has passed, but your ears haven't started working again yet. Fong Yuqing's face was so pale, she looked like a ghost. Her body was shaking, and this time it was not from the cold. Every carefully constructed layer of her goddess persona had just been ripped off like wallpaper, exposing the bare, ugly wall underneath. Zhang Yi, shut your mouth, I smirked one final time. What? I'm just stating facts. Everything I said, you did. Getting angry at the mirror doesn't change your reflection. Click. Call ended. Blocked. I tossed my phone on the cushion and stretched luxuriously on my warm sofa. Somewhere in a freezing apartment 6 floors below, a woman who'd spent her entire adult life believing she was irresistible had just been told, by her own backup plan, that she was never even the main option. The goddess fantasy was dead. The spare tire had refused to be mounted. And the green tea princess was going to spend the rest of her evening replaying every word I said while eating her last pack of dry snack noodles in the dark. I grabbed my compound bow, aimed at my practice target, and let an arrow fly. Thunk. Bullseye. Best video call of my life. She sent me a tsunami of angry voice messages afterward. Didn't bother listening to a single one. Why would I argue with someone who'll be frozen solid in a few weeks? Getting angry at a dead woman walking is a waste of perfectly good emotions. Instead, I laughed. Hard. The kind of laugh that echoes off aerospace alloy walls and feels absolutely magnificent. To celebrate my victory, I went to the kitchen and pulled out a bottle of Romanicani. $20,000 a bottle. Stored in a temperature-controlled wine cabinet from the Walmart warehouse. I only had a few dozen cases of this stuff, so I saved it for special occasions. Today qualified. I set up a dinner spread that would make a Michelin restaurant weep with jealousy. French baked escargot, tomahawk steak, Nanjing salted duck, and, just because I could, a dish called stargazy pie, with fish heads poking out of pastry. All paired with my 200,000 yuan wine. Rules of dining? Etiquette? Food pairing conventions? Dead. All dead. I eat whatever I want, however I want, in whatever combination makes me happy. Caviar is a side dish. Sure. Fish with steak with duck? Why not? This was MY Apocalypse and MY Rules. This level of luxury was probably unmatched anywhere on the planet right now. Even the world's richest people had been caught off guard. Su Hao's billionaire father? In my previous life's memories, that man died 2 weeks into the apocalypse. All that wealth turned to paper, and his fat, pampered body had zero survival skills. Meanwhile, across the building, Fong Yuqing was having a full meltdown. Smashing things, screaming my name, cursing the universe for the injustice of it all. Who does he think he is? If it weren't for this stupid blizzard, I wouldn't even look at him. The irony was thick enough to cut with a knife. She was raging about how I wasn't good enough for her, while simultaneously being furious that I wouldn't let her into my warm, food-filled paradise. Wanting to reject someone and be accepted by them at the same time is a level of cognitive gymnastics that should qualify for the Olympics. Lin Canning, sitting nearby, fired. A passive-aggressive missile disguised as sympathy. Well, if you hadn't played games with him, we could be sitting by his fireplace eating steak right now. Fong Yuqing snapped back. He's nothing. Just a guy with an apartment and some savings. I'm going to marry into a wealthy family. I'm going to be a rich man's wife, while eating cracker crumbs off the floor. In a frozen apartment. During the apocalypse. The business plan needed some revisions. Lin Canning stared out the window at the endless snow and said what they were both thinking. What if this never stops? We'll either freeze or starve. For the first time, real fear replaced Fong Yuqing's anger. 10 days trapped. No end in sight. The TV experts were still promising things would improve, but they were saying it while shivering in puffy jackets, which kind of undermined the message. Fong Yuqing curled up on the sofa, haunted by the memory of my apartment. Warm, bright, overflowing with food. Paradise, 6 floors away. Completely unreachable. It's not fair. Why does he get to live like that while I suffer? I'm beautiful. This makes no sense. Ah, yes. The universe should distribute survival resources based on attractiveness. Truly flawless logic. Then, and this is where things got absolutely hilarious, Lin Canning waited until Fong Yuqing was deep in her rage spiral, quietly pulled out her phone and sent me a message. Zhang Yi, I was so happy watching you put Fong Yuqing in her place. I've always known she's a fake, gold-digging liar. She never cared about you. I've been hoping you'd see through her. Congratulations on finally waking up. I nearly spit out my $20,000 wine. The betrayal. The speed of the betrayal. Fong Yuqing was literally sitting 3 feet away, and her best friend was already selling her out and making a move on me. The body wasn't even cold yet. Well, actually it was cold. Everything was cold, and the vulture was already circling. I replied, okay. Then came the punchline. Lin Canning, throwing away every last shred of subtlety. Zhang Yi. Actually, I've always liked you. Did you know that? Now that you're done with Fong Yuqing, why don't we be together? I choked on my Romani Kani. Nearly destroyed 200,000 yuan worth of wine with a spit take. This woman, she'd never shown me the slightest bit of warmth or interest. She'd spent years helping Fong Yuqing manipulate me, squeeze me for gifts, and keep me dangling as a backup. And now, 10 days into the frozen apocalypse, after seeing my fireplace and my food, suddenly she'd always liked me. The timing was so transparent, it was almost admirable. Like watching a pickpocket work in slow motion. You know exactly what they're doing, but you're impressed by the audacity. Plastic sisterhood at its absolute finest. The second one girl falls, the other steps over her body and goes for the prize. I shook my head, took another sip of wine, and smiled at the ceiling. These two deserved each other, and they both deserved exactly what was coming. I sighed at my phone. Does this woman think I'm a recycling center? Taking in everybody's rejects? Fong Yuqing was at least skilled at manipulation. She could flirt, act cute, and knew how to present herself. Lin Canning? Her talents began and ended at being delusional about her own attractiveness. But my inner villain wanted to see how far this would go. So I played along. Really? You've always liked me. But you and Fong Yuqing are best friends. Won't dating me ruin your friendship? Lin Canning's eyes must have lit up like a slot machine hitting 777s. She smelled an opening and charged through it like a bull at a red cape. Friends? We just share an apartment. That's IT. Then the floodgates opened. She started dumping Fong Yuqing's secrets like a WikiLeaks data breach. You have no idea how disgusting she is. She's too lazy to walk to the bathroom in the cold, so she pees in water bottles. She goes to nightclubs hunting for rich guys constantly. When she finds a wealthy one, she throws herself at him. When she needs cash, she does freelance work. At night. For 1,500 yuan. That's how she affords all those designer bags on a 5,000 yuan salary. She's had multiple procedures at the clinic. And I don't mean cosmetic ones. In college, she was kept by several construction bosses for years straight. Each revelation was juicier than the last. I was getting a full biographical expose on Fong Yuqing's secret life, delivered by her own best friend, who was sitting 3 feet away from her. I quietly hit the screen record button. This was too good to lose. Lin Canning had clearly been storing up resentment for years. Always the sidekick. Always the less pretty friend. Always standing in Fong Yuqing's shadow while the spotlight landed on someone else. Every woman who plays second fiddle eventually snaps, and Lin Canning was snapping hard. After emptying her entire ammunition dump of gossip, she pivoted back to romance mode. Zhang Yi, you don't know how painful it was watching you chase her. I've been suffering in silence. Let me be your girlfriend. I'll love you so well, and you must be so lonely all by yourself. A woman can help with so many things. She added a flirty catamaticon. She was offering everything. Full package. No conditions. Just open the door and let her in. 2 problems with this proposal. First, I wouldn't open my fortress door for a supermodel carrying a golden goose, let alone Lin Canning. Second, even setting aside survival strategy. I sent her a voice message. I appreciate the offer, really, but I'm going to pass. Why? Don't you want a woman? I paused for dramatic effect, then delivered the verdict. I do like women, but you're too ugly. Then I muted my phone and tossed it across the sofa. Somewhere in a freezing apartment, Lin Canning was processing the most devastating 3-word rejection in human history. 2. Ugly. Every filtered selfie she'd ever posted. Every gorgeous comment from strangers online. Every carefully angled photo that made her look like a model. All of it. invalidated by one sentence from a man sitting in his warm fortress eating caviar. But before she could even finish being offended, a scream erupted from across the room. Lynn Canning, you backstabbing witch. Oh right. I'd forwarded their entire chat, every secret, every insult, every she peas and bottles revelation, directly to Fong Yuqing. What followed was the most vicious catfight in Apocalypse history. Hair-pulling, arm-scratching, screaming, two former best friends, going at each other like feral cats in a freezing apartment. They only stopped when they physically couldn't fight anymore, then sat on opposite ends of the room glaring at each other with murderous eyes. The only thing preventing actual homicide was the cold. They still needed to share body heat to survive. Imagine that. Wanting to kill someone, but having to cuddle them at night to avoid freezing to death. The Apocalypse writes better drama than any TV show. Both women now hated me. But more than they hated me, they envied me. And if I snapped my fingers and opened my door right now, they'd both crawl over on all fours, pride completely abandoned. But that door was staying shut. I switched to my nightly ritual, watching the news with dinner. The broadcasts had changed tone significantly. The female anchor was serious now. No more cheerful. Everything's under control. Messages. The government had stopped pretending. Power will be supplied daily from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Small appliances only. No heaters. No air conditioning. Conserve energy. 1 hour of electricity per day. Sometimes less. Some days only 10 or 15 minutes. And this was apparently the best they could manage. But what caught my attention wasn't the content. It was the delivery. The anchor's voice was grim. The reassuring language was gone. This meant the government had officially given up on hiding how bad things really were. When you stop sugarcoating, it means you've accepted that people need to start saving themselves. I opened my phone. Every group chat had exploded. Rage, despair, crying, and, of course, more food trading. Instant noodles had gone from 2,000 yuan 2 days ago to 5,000 per pack. 5,000 yuan. For noodles that used to cost 3 yuan. A 1,667 times markup. And people were still selling because they thought money would matter again someday. The greed was almost impressive. The world is literally ending. Cash will be worthless within days, and they're trading survival food for colorful paper. It's like selling your lifeboat because someone offered you a nice painting. I said nothing, posted nothing. Just watched the chaos unfold from my warm observation deck, eating gourmet food and drinking wine that cost more than most people's cars. Tomorrow they'd wake up, realize nothing had changed, and fight even harder for scraps. The day after, the same. And the day after that. Meanwhile, I'd be right here. Warm. Federal armed. Entertained. The apocalypse was a tragedy for humanity. But as a reality show, absolutely riveting. Water had become the building's newest nightmare. Pipes were frozen solid, so the only option was going outside in -70 to scoop up snow. But then what? Your apartment is also -50 or 60. The snow just sits there like a very cold, very useless brick. Some desperate people tried licking the ice to get moisture and got their tongues permanently stuck to it. Frozen to the ice like a kid licking a flagpole, except this time nobody was laughing. Through my surveillance cameras, I noticed Chen Jinghao's goons lurking around my floor every single day. Their brilliant plan: wait for me to come outside and grab snow water, then jump me. They sat there for days, watching, waiting, staking out my door like the world's most incompetent assassins. What they couldn't comprehend, what their tiny criminal brains simply could not process, was that I was never coming out. Ever. I had 500 tons of stored water, tens of thousands of bottles of drinks, and 0 reasons to set foot outside my door. They could camp in that freezing hallway until they became ice sculptures, and I still wouldn't appear. Is Chen Jinghao still alive? Gotta give him credit for durability. The man took a crossbow bolt clean through his leg and was somehow still kicking. No hospital, no surgery, extreme cold, guaranteed infection. By all logic, he should have been dead days ago. Maybe the cold was actually killing the bacteria? I'm no doctor. Didn't really care either way. His death was inevitable. The only question was the timeline. Next morning, I woke up, grabbed my phone with sleepy eyes, and checked the group chats. My daily entertainment. Watching humanity spiral while I ate breakfast in paradise. The contrast was like comparing a 5-star resort brochure to a horror movie poster. Both fascinating, but for very different reasons. First message, Fang Yuqing. Zhang Yi, I'm sorry about yesterday. I was just so cold, my emotions got the best of me. You were right. I was naive. I didn't see who truly cared about me. Now I realize, you were the one who was always good to me. I actually have feelings for you. Real ones. Can you forgive me? I want to be your woman. You must be lonely all by yourself. Let me come stay with you. I'll keep you company through the apocalypse. I stared at my phone for a long moment. The woman who'd rejected me for 2.5 years, who called me a backup, who wouldn't even let me take her to dinner without elaborate planning and expensive gifts, was now begging to be my woman. Every ounce of pride, every shred of her goddess persona, every carefully maintained wall of superiority, tossed in the garbage because my apartment had. This part ends here, but the story continues on our Patreon if you don't want to wait. Also, if you're enjoying this manhwa recap, give the video a like and leave a comment. And subscribe if you want to see the next parts on the channel.